6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams will play in Super Bowl 56. The Bengals captured the AFC Championship by defeating the Chiefs 27-24 in overtime in Kansas City. The Bengals rallied from a 21-3 halftime deficit to get the win. Evan McPherson's 31-yard field goal in the extra session sealed Cincinnati's third Super Bowl appearance in franchise history.
Good! Coffin nails!
Bam! 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 That is unbelievable.
Bengals radio network with the call of that. The LA Rams won the NFC title with a 20-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers. Rams came back from a 10-point deficit to get the victory. They sealed the win with a late interception of Jimmy Garoppolo. The Rams become the first team in NFL history to host a conference title game, followed by hosting and playing in the Super Bowl. You can listen to Super Bowl 56 right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Start of a new week. Matthew Stafford's the number one draft pick in 2009. Played over a decade in the same spot. Had to take a new zip code to make it to a Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow, 2.5 hours from the city he grew up in his second season, first full season, he's into the Super Bowl with the team that drafted him number one overall 2 seasons ago.
Wow.
The NFL, man, sometimes we just do. It is.
Sometimes we just do.
There it is. 11-year NFL veteran, Vol for life in stereo. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. We're with you until 10 a.m. this morning. Teresa Walker, the Associated Press, later on today. Rocky Boiman from up in Cincinnati, who I don't know if he was expecting to have this conversation today either, but here we are. Once you get to the show, look, you don't know if you have another crack at this. It feels like to me Cincinnati's got something. And this isn't going to be a one-off, whether it's a win or a lose situation, but I've seen a lot of teams that thought they were getting back that never got back. Their fans were preparing for a dynasty, and then they never made it to the big game again. So all you got to do is make it. They found a way to get through the number one seed on the road after beating a pretty good wild card team in the Raiders, and then coming back and doing the thing nobody's done outside of Tom Brady, which is beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. It took overtime because apparently you can't win a game in this year's NFL playoffs, Moan, without it being by a field goal. Because we had 2 more games yesterday, both by field goals, which I'll take it because it makes it dramatic and fun down the stretch. But we'll talk about the NFC. I was half right on my Super Bowl prediction. Just not the AFC representative. Yeah. But Cincinnati, in the second half, taking all the throws away from Tyreek Hill that he had in the first half.
Yeah.
And now you realize, you know who loves to play out of the slot? Cooper Kupp. You know who loves to defend the slot? Mike Hilton.
Yep.
That's going to be a nice matchup in the Super Bowl.
It is, man. And my Super Bowl picks were wrong, too. I was Kansas City, Green Bay, and both of them are gone. You just never know how the season is going to unfold, which is why you play the game, which is why fans are fans, which is why we watch and spectate and critique everything about it. I think this weekend, this entire playoff run by all teams, if you don't agree, this is one of the more exciting finishes that we've seen here in a while as far as the lead up to the Super Bowl. Didn't really know who was going to win. We thought we knew who the obvious favorites were, and they were, to be real with you. But in general, it was nowhere near what I thought this would have been. Of course, I'm looking at the Rams mortgage everything that they have. and rightfully so. And they made it to the show. Gave up a quarterback. My kid last night, my oldest, was looking at the Rams situation. He was like, wow, they don't have a first-round draft pick to 2024. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah.
They'll take it if they win one more game.
Oh, 100%. And all the guys that they got on their team, I guarantee you Whitworth will probably walk off. No telling what Stafford's going to do. I'd say they want to run it back. But just in general, they did what they set out to do. Even had Denver pay for Von Miller's regular season salary just to get that deal done. You know, there was a lot of moving parts. And then on the AFC side, Cincinnati, I got nothing bad to say about it. They did it. They absolutely did it. They won. They didn't. I don't even want to hear, at least on this one. We lost this one, or Cincinnati, another team dropped that one. No. Cincy, they won it. They absolutely won every game they were in, man. And true enough, circumstances said, you know, they were supposed to lose in certain games, and their quarterback willed them in. Their playmakers made plays. T. Higgins yesterday. Heck, they lose Uzuma yesterday. And he steps up in a major way in his role, catching over the middle and combat catches and stuff like that. I'm looking at it, and if it's true, of course, we didn't even mention what we think maybe is the retirement of Tom Brady.
Well, I mean, I had said,
I
said after last week, I thought he might be done for real this time. And then, of course, whatever that mess was to happen over the weekend. It felt like to me, somebody got some information. They didn't want him to run that. Like, I don't think Brady was trying to retire this weekend.
Yeah, no.
I think he wants to wait until the offseason. I don't think he cares about I don't think he feels like detracting away from what's going on and all this other kind of stuff. And I don't know that he's made a decision, but it's possible they talked to Darlington or talked Schefter or whatever, like, hey, we're leaning in this direction, and it got misconstrued or something. But that getting out, the way that they clapped back against it told me it wasn't as much this is false as this is not the time. We weren't trying to do this right now.
Yeah, no. And I was just looking, I was like, this is really close to, Ben's announcement. And Tom just celebrated him on social media. I figured it would have been a week later or something like that, which quarterbacks are very proper like that. That's one thing about that group. And speaking of a proper quarterback, Joe friggin' Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? Like,
well, let me say this real quick before we start talking about Joe Burrow, because Schaefer made this point yesterday in the chat. I just wanted to throw this out there, and then we'll get back to your point. It's just this. Before we talk about Burrow, because he's the straw that's stirring the string.
Oh, 100%.
He's the guy. There's no doubt about it. He is A1. Yesterday was about the defensive adjustments made at halftime. Yeah. Because that was 21-3, and then they came back, and Mahomes in the second half looked like Mahomes during that stretch where the Titans beat them and a bunch of teams beat them, because Mahomes he was staring down. I don't know what it was. I need to see the all 22, Moan.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of times Mahomes was running for his life, but he has time to get rid of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
What was he hoping was going to happen? Because it was obvious to me that the secondary for Cincinnati stepped the hell up.
Yeah, they did.
So anyway, we can go back to your Burrow point. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned the defense before we even got there.
No, and you mentioned that too, and I'm going back to my notes on Cincinnati whenever they played the Titans. And I got secondary. I put them all in a group because it's not really one that sticks out. All of them make plays, but nobody really sticks out other than Eli Apple on social media right now. He is on a tear on social media, by the way. He called out Cheetah, called him a baby cheetah. He's just been going at it. And you know what? To the victor goes the spoils. But Awuzie, Eli Apple, Von Bell, and Jesse Bates, I put in there all solid, and it's true, and seasoned vets. I even have very solid leadership in their two deep with Michael Thomas, who is on that team, who's been on the Super Bowl run, and Ricardo Allen to help mentor. I said they have a culture of letting the players lead the way they want to now. And that seems to be the case if you look back at that Kansas City game. Honestly, if you look at all the games, of course, we're going to look at Trey Hendrickson and the impact that he had. But if you look at the heartbeat of that defense as far as Cincinnati goes, it kind of is led by the secondary, which I won't say is rare, but you usually have a linebacker or D lineman, lead the troops like that. And it's their secondary. They made plays, man. Every single one of those dudes made plays, man. Von Bell, for sure. I'm looking at them like they're all over the play. And the thing about it, I watched Kelsey break down Mike Hilton 3 times yesterday during the game. And just smooth as water, he just broke him down. But what was crazy, their running backs their DBs were right there to make the tackle right after that. They rallied to the ball. And you mentioned Patrick Mahomes and what they did in that game. I think towards when they got up 21-3, and especially towards the end of the first half, Kansas City has done this for a while. They found ways to get, let's say it, cute.
Yeah, I don't know what that was at the end of the first half, but it was a catastrophic mistake. If you go in 24-3, at least. But I don't know what the problem was. The play call, either the play call or the execution, something didn't match there because you can't throw that ball in the end zone. I don't care if it's Tyreek. Tyreek wasn't really going to be able to use his speed right there anyway because they were just sitting there collapsing on that side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then on top of that, Eli Apple makes a big old play. I think it was Trey Henderson that was running him down, him or Sam Hubbard. And I'm even just looking at him I know Tyreek is unique, and they've watched him. It looked like they watched him as a fan, as his coaches, and say, you know what, if he just gets a person one-on-one, he's just going to make him look, he's going to embarrass him. No, that wasn't the case. Eli Apple came down and just bammed him real quick, and they walked away out of that half with no points. They walked away with no points. If they could have got 3, that may have been a separator as far as overtime goes. Now, again, Cincinnati's defense and offense stepped up in the second half, and it just really looked like Kansas City just oozed to a finish. And you can't just ooze to a finish or rely on the fact that you have one of the best players in the world in Patrick Mahomes, and they dropped the ball, and Cincinnati capitalized on them. They celebrated on their field.
They did, and – look, you spotted Patrick Mahomes an 18-point lead.
Yes.
And then just shut them down.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever really seen that before outside of Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But that's a defense that you knew going in was just unreal. I think that the Bengals defense, we talked about how the Buffalo Bills had the best defense in the league with guys you couldn't name.
Yep.
That was one of the most impressive things about them. Well, I think the same thing is kind of true with Cincinnati. Now, there are a couple guys. Yeah, Hendrickson.
Mm-hmm.
And you now know Mike Hilton if you didn't before. Yeah. Jesse Bates, nobody really talked about him until last week with the play he made against Tennessee, and then he backed it up with another play yesterday against Kansas City. Some of the moves that they made in the offseason, they weren't flashy. They just made themselves better. Yep. Yeah, they made themselves better, and then they all coalesced at the right time. And let's just say it. Well, you know what? I was going to say you caught Kansas City on a day where Kansas City was beatable, but you made them beatable.
You did.
Whatever it was that you did in the second half, they had no answers for because everything went against you at the end of the second half where you had an interception. You couldn't finish it off in overtime. But in overtime, you lost the coin toss.
Yep.
11 times that had happened since the rules changed. The team that won the toss was 10-1.
10-1.
You're playing against Patrick Mahomes, and you shut them down, and their offense didn't look good.
Yep.
You were able to take the ball back, and then you just dunked on them.
Yeah.
You just moved the ball casually down the field, and McPherson just can't miss, apparently. He made a 52-yarder to take the lead at the end of overtime, at the end of regulation, and I just came away thinking this just might be their year.
And so many things that ran through my mind about Cincy making it. I just saw somebody in the zone chat said, I can't believe Cincinnati made it. And I'm just looking at.
What are you supposed to say other than tip your hat to them and say congratulations?
I can't. There's no troll for me. I'm like, they won, Jay. And no, not only that, they beat people. And the air of confidence that they had in doing it. When was the last time we saw a team get this cocky and be good though? I don't even want to call it cocky. This confident, this young too.
Yeah, again, they don't know what they don't know, but they're just dumb enough they might win the Super Bowl before they figure it out. That's unbelievable. It really is.
Let's look at the recipe again though, Jay. Able to spend a whole lot of money in free agency
because you got a quarterback on a rookie contract.
Come on, man.
615-737-1045, your reaction to everything that we saw yesterday. We'll talk about the NFC game afterwards and the probably the swan song for Jimmy Garoppolo. And it ended the way it should in the NFC West with Aaron Donald making him chase his life around. And then I don't know what he tried to YOLO, but that was the end of the season for the Niners. We'll come back. We'll talk all about this. Got a couple of guests. Got plenty of time for you to get in. How did you feel watching the Cincinnati Bengals advance to the Super Bowl? I actually felt good for Boomer Esiason being there to see that. I appreciated it for him, not as much for Pro Football Focus. We'll be right back. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So you know what's 2 weeks away? Valentine's Day. I hope you were at a stoplight because you might have forgotten about that, fellas. Valentine's Day is huge at Genesis Diamonds. They got the total package for you, so we got you covered here. I want you to listen up. Genesis helping you create the perfect Valentine's experience. That's a romantic gift, fresh flowers, chocolates, and dinner out. All of it on Genesis. That's right. Genesis has put together the ultimate package. When you buy any piece of jewelry for just $99 or more, they're going to give you a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's, some yummy chocolates, and a gift card for dinner at STK Steakhouse. And when it comes to the jewelry, you know they've got your back. Genesis has pulled together some great Valentine's gift ideas as well. So if it's not just the standard stuff, they've got the rings, the earrings, they've got pendants, they got bracelets, they got bands, they've got affordable, timeless gifts that she's going to enjoy for years. So you can bring the romance, you can show up with the sparkle. One-stop shopping at Genesis. Spend just $99 or more on a piece of jewelry and get the flowers, the chocolates, and a gift card for dinner as a gift from Genesis. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs. It's my jewelry store. It should be yours. Disclaimer, limited quantity. See store for details. Welcome back. It is JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Put an ad behind it. That is where you will find us on Twitter. You can find Ramon, of course, at Ramon Foster, and Jonathan Schaefer at Schaefer on Sports. I'm at JMart Radio. So Matthew Stafford makes it to a Super Bowl in his first year with Sean McVay. Said he went to bed a lion, woke up a ram. They used that thing a few different times. He went to bed in Cabo, a lion, came back a ram. What's the quote? Tampering. I'm just going to throw it out there again. But look, Sean McVay sold Kroenke on giving up all the draft capital. Said, he'll take us to a Super Bowl, and he has.
And he has.
So here's the question now, Moan.
Yeah.
He's taking you where Jared Goff took you. Jared Goff took him to a Super Bowl. Now there they matched up with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Here they're matching up with Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
But has Stafford already proven this was worth it? Because they made the Super Bowl.
Well, I do feel like they got a whole lot of more parts on this team that they didn't have with the last one.
No question.
I think that's a factor. If he wins, it's going to be because of Stafford, and they're going to say that and paint that picture too. But there's a lot of the moving forces on that team that are very, very capable of why they are at the Super Bowl or why they're winning the Super Bowl too. I mean, I'm even looking at the home field advantage that they got, and just the idea that they are a more veteran team than what Cincinnati is. But, of course, in this league, it's going to go to Stafford. It's going to go to him. And it'll probably be the summertime when we and everybody else start to break this down as far as, well, look, how much did Stafford do this year, and just look at the contributions of everybody else. So I say the decision to get there, it goes to Stafford, initially, because he is the guy. He made some throws and some plays in that games. In all of these games, and say, yeah, he's legit. They rallied around him. But on the other side, you got a guy like Aaron Donald that, brought this defense together and said, let's get it together. Let's go. Yeah. We got to close out this game. And they did. You mentioned it before the break. He had Jimmy G running like a chicken with his head cut off to force an interception. And then there's the other thing too of looking at what the DB from the 49ers, he dropped that layup in his hand. God,
well, look, they both when Cincinnati dropped the interception,
mm-hmm.
I thought, that could be a death knell kind of play right there. You got to make that play.
Yeah.
When the Niners guy dropped that and went down, and he was just kind of facing the ground, I was just like, that's the epitome of it right there, because that was your shot to take this game away. To your point about how this team looks, it's amazing what Odell Beckham Jr. looks like and how he acts when he has a quarterback he respects.
Hmm.
There's not a deep take there other than look at what a teammate he turned out to be with Stafford as his quarterback. But compared to the horror stories of Baker Mayfield.
Think about this though, and all the receiver. Heck, I was listening to ESPN. It was on there the other day, and Keyshawn was speaking about Jamar Chase. He was like, the idea that he has a quarterback as good as Jamar Chase, and he was like, here I was, the number 1 overall pick, and I forget who his quarterback was. He was like, man, nobody wants that. So I'm sure that's one of the reasons why Keyshawn acted the way he did and maneuvered around New York and tried to get out as much as he could. The same thing can go for AB and his interaction with his quarterback. Well, watching the Derek Carr situation, I told you how most superstar wide receivers are when they got a backup in. It's just different, So Odell having a guy, AB going to Tom. Look at what Devontae wants to do with Aaron Rodgers. Like, you can't just put as much as you want to say, a wide receiver can just go make plays. No, you got to find a guy and look at how they, look at how they respond behind that. So that's something to look forward to also, because truth be told, Jamar made some plays. Devontae Adams made plays this year too. And look at Odell and what he's done. He's had a new life about himself. As soon as he learned the system.
He's got a great running buddy too.
Yeah, he does.
Good Lord, man. Like, at some point, it's all right to just say Cooper Kupp might be the best receiver in the league.
Cooper Kupp.
Because some of the moves he makes are stupid. He wrong-footed multiple DBs yesterday.
Yeah. And he's one of those guys too. When the Rams couldn't get anything going earlier, who did they find? They found him.
It was him and Blanton.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, B-Hops Son couldn't play
Yeah.
yesterday because Higbee went down early with the knee. But then here's Andrew Blanton
Yeah.
just tearing up everybody. But the lasting image of everything I saw yesterday, well, there was two. There was Burrow when they lost the coin toss, which again, it reiterates how bad that rule is, even though at least this time both teams got to touch the ball. The big one to me was Odell and Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
After the game, where Debo's just sobbing.
Yep.
You made Debo cry. That should frighten everybody in the NFL for next year.
Yep.
That dude's a mutant. Like I don't understand. I don't understand him at all. Like it's just you can't take your eyes off the guy. But Odell's the one that's with him, like with head down, talking to him. I'm just like, that's a shot I'm not gonna forget for a while, because it was two guys that didn't obviously match up with one another, but one guy that's been in this league for a while, that's had some ups and downs, that's probably telling that young guy, yeah, dude, you are unbelievable.
I mean,
you're a stud.
Think about Odell, though, and what he's had to go through to actually get to this point. Comes out on the scene tough in New York with the Giants and Eli, and just, the one-arm grab, becomes a superstar, megastar in this league, Madden cover, all of that. He's got so many kids. If you've ever coached kids in football these days, they all want to catch one-handed. Why? Because of friggin' Odell Beckham Jr., okay? You got to tell kids these days, because of Odell, look, you got to use two hands. You're not Odell. You know how many times I've had to tell kids that? Like, you are not Odell. He caught with two hands before he ever thought about catching with one hand, okay? And the other part of it is he's watching what Debo's doing. Deebo Samuel, he's becoming a superstar, so much so that I've seen people just say the worst part about that is the worst part about that loss for the 49ers is the fact that Deebo Samuel's had a monstrous year at wide receiver and running back. And I wonder
if Odell was like, hey, man, just wait till you get a quarterback.
Jay.
Wonder if that was part of the conversation.
Yeah, it had to have been.
Because he's like, hey, I got Stafford now. Like, y'all are about to be out from underneath this, whether it's Trey or whether you're going to bring somebody else in. Like, you got the team. You just didn't have the quarterback. Just hang on. You're going to be all right.
And think about how many guys that just had to hang on with him, though. That's the biggest part about this, though, Jay, is so many guys on that Rams team that just held on. Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, 13, 14 years. Odell is another one of those guys. Andrew Whitworth, the irony of him making it and his old team making it too. There's a lot of narratives in this, and Debo's one of those guys that's in that position too, that you just got to hold on and wait a little while for. And I'm actually looking at this past weekend. They're going through Tom Brady's, his accolades with the announcement that he's going to retire. And imagine this guy, Jay, listeners, 22 years, 7 Super Bowls. Now let's think about that too. 22 years and 7 Super Bowls. That still should tell you how hard it is to win a Super Bowl and how long it takes to actually accumulate teams to actually be able to put that together. You say what you want to about Tom winning and being the greatest. Imagine it takes you 22 years to get 7 wins. That's pretty significant. Now, you got a bunch of guys. Whitworth, I don't even know how many years he's been in at this time. I think it's 15, 16 years at this point. And he's just now getting to it again for the second time because they lost the first time. Vaughn is he 10 years in at this point? This is his second time. Odell, he's 8-9 years in the league. This is his first time, or is it the second time?
Well, I guess it's Vaughn's third time.
This is his third. Who did they lost one too?
They lost. We got killed by Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah. Okay.
And came back the next year.
But it takes a lot, Jay, to get to this point. And watching what Cincinnati's done so quick under this new regime of Joe Burrow and that defense, again, I don't even know if they're ahead of schedule. I'm starting to almost believe what Joe Burrow said as far as the expectations for Cincinnati moving forward. This is just expectations. He knocked off numero uno 2 times in 1 year. and Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City.
Beat regular season Kansas City and then beat playoff Kansas City, which are two different teams. He made playoff Kansas City. They made playoff Kansas City look like regular season Kansas City. Beat them at Cincy in the regular season, then had to go to their place and beat them in front of that crowd yesterday afternoon with the whole world watching.
Yep. So that's where I'm at in watching the new era of what the NFL is going to be with these young guys. And not just them, because we can name the quarterbacks all friggin' day, Jay. Like, of course, Lamar, Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, heck, whoever else you want to throw out there. Kenny Pickett, if he even comes in and proves me wrong. You know, there's a bunch of guys that are in it, and you got to say to yourself, it's not just them, it's the receivers. There's a sprinkle of some quarterbacks some running backs in there, but then you got like monstrous defenses that are good too. And I thought about this too, and I'm like, okay, the Titans had a very strong team this year. Legitimately, especially watching these quarterbacks and these young guys, where does it make you feel like your chances are again?
Yeah, that's a question I've been thinking about the whole time, and I think I want to throw it out to get the fan pulse on that. Watching this, how do you feel about your team right now if you're a Titans fan? We're getting to the point where we're about to have 6 months without football.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 weeks away from being done with football for 6 more months, and we'll be talking about the draft and everything else. But where do you see your football team right now? Like what Cincinnati has done at worst is catch lightning in a bottle. Now we're in the Super Bowl with 60 minutes where if they can just outplay a Rams team that at times has been inconsistent, then they win the Super Bowl. They cash it in year 2 before they've even gotten their feet wet in the NFL, which is insane. Absolutely insane. We'll talk to Rocky Boiman about it in the second hour of the show. But where do you see your team right now? And the quarterback is named, obviously we didn't name Ryan Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
Watching what you're watching. Is it enough? Do you feel like it's enough? Or do you feel like, because if I had to answer it today, I kind of feel like the Titans just had their best shot, and now it's kind of going to be a slow descent, at least right now.
Man.
Because it's just so hard to get this opportunity to be a 1 seed. You've had it 3 times this century. And I don't even want to talk about the fact that about how those games have all gone. But you being a number 1 seed this year with everything that you faced, that just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
That's why Mike Vrabel should be coach of the year. But at the same time, like, have you peaked with this group? Have you done about all you can do with this group without making a couple of massive changes? Or do you want to run it back and say, we only lost by a field goal? Well, I'll tell you this. What we've seen all the last 2 weeks is that losing by a field goal is about all it – I mean, that's the difference between making it to a Super Bowl and being out in the divisional round. I mean, the Bengals won by 3 field goals in 3 games, and they're in the Super Bowl. Every mistake, every missed opportunity magnified. They didn't score at the end of the first half. They, meaning the Chiefs, they're sitting at home. Garoppolo he overthrew 1 big pass again yesterday when he had Kittle wide open. Overthrew him. They're sitting at home. So do you have the team that you feel like can weather mistakes, or do you have to stop making those mistakes? Let's go to Eric in Nashville. He's up first on the lines. Eric, what's up?
Hey, guys, I tell you what, what about Baker Mayfield? This has got to be the worst Super Bowl matchup we could have imagined.
Good point.
Hey, guys, a couple of things. Also, Ramon, what about Eric Weddle coming out of retirement for the Rams, too?
Not just coming out of retirement, but playing well.
But also, I'm going to get to the Bengals game in a minute, but about the Rams 49ers game, props to the Rams for the win yesterday. But, guys, the officiating that game was terrible. There were a couple of cheap shots by the 49ers that should have been flagged, and also one by the Rams. But also, the Rams got away with at least 2 or 3 times delay a game. There should have been flags, so I could not believe where the clock went to 0 and no flag.
For sure.
It's just But hey, just give credit to them for the way they played, coming down from 10. You wonder if they could do it. Hats off for them, even though that's their home stadium, and it's going to be interesting to see in 2 weeks against Cincinnati. But about the Bengals Kansas City game, I'm so happy for Cincinnati and just what they did, guys. Even though they did beat the Titans, guys, just the way they did it, and they certainly seemed like a team of destiny, guys. I tell you what, going down 21-3, then they played before the half, and Kansas City almost screwed up near the end of the game where Mahomes got sacked and fumbled. I could not believe they had the first and goal because everybody's talking about, well, should they run off the time? Cincinnati gets timeouts and everything like that, and they almost screwed it up. Credit to them for getting the field goal, and I know I'm in the minority of this. I'm so glad Cincinnati won overtime. I'm glad because I'm one of these people. The guys are so sick and tired of hearing, well, both teams got to possess the ball. Both teams got to possess the ball. Even Sean Payton tweeted out, well, game over. Well, it wasn't. And I heard what Josh Allen said, Payne, but Cincinnati got the pick. I mean, to hold the Chiefs to 3 points, guys. And I'm not saying this is true, guys, but it seems like Kansas City's grist. They won the Super Bowl. Then they lost the Super Bowl. Now they've lost the AFC Championship game, and now people are going to say, are they regressing, guys? I tell you what, and just so happy for that city, guys. I actually I picked up WLW from Cincinnati and just listened to the post-game show for the next several hours. And the fans are going nuts, honking and everything, guys. It was just insane just to hear just the crowd in Cincinnati, just saying they were going to Super Bowl and all that stuff with their radio announcers, guys. I mean, you wish that could be here, but guys, it is what it is, guys. And I'm just so elated. I know the Rams are already favored and stuff, but I tell you what, I think Cincinnati's going to win the Super Bowl, guys. That's just my personal opinion, guys. I tell you what, guys, and also one kind of little sad thing, guys. You may have heard about this. I heard where I guess the guy, Dr. Johnny Fever, passed away Saturday night. Howard Hessman. Who played, that's, just hated hearing that, guys. Yeah. But, guys, just so happy for the state of Cincinnati. I know y'all going to hear from Cousin Danny and just Bengals fans. But hey, they got a right to gloat. I mean, just the way they played. I mean, this team is a team of destiny. In the second year, guys, y'all take care.
You too.
Appreciate it, Eric. Look, I might as well have been a Bengals fan yesterday. I was pulling hard for them because, one, I like what they've got. I love their quarterback. Mainly, I've got Kansas City fatigue. I wanted to see somebody else in the Super Bowl. The last thing I wanted was a rematch of Chiefs-Niners.
Yeah.
I was pulling for the Bengals. I was pulling for the Rams. And that's what we get. Is that as sexy a matchup maybe as some people would want? I don't really care.
I think it's a bigger toss-up, though.
No, I agree.
Can you call it? Can you legitimately call this game already, Jay?
No, it's a 3.5-point game in favor of the Rams at home, which basically means it's a pick 'em.
Yeah.
There are reasons to not believe in either team, and there's reasons to believe in both teams. Yeah. I think the chances that that's a bad football game are not very good.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a good game. I don't feel like the Rams are going to win the game 47-7 or anything like that. And it wasn't as much, even though, look, I went to school with a lot of people. Look, WKU has a lot of people that are from Cincinnati. So I knew a lot of Bengals fans that I saw them hurt for a long time. And a lot of it caused by your team, Moan.
Yeah, man.
Yesterday was just kind of, I know for Titans fans, it had to be bittersweet because you felt like it could have been you.
Talk about it, man.
You felt like it could have been you.
Yep.
Because you beat Kansas City in a regular season just like they did. In fact, you beat the dog urine out of them.
Yeah.
You annihilated them in your facility, and you were going to have them here again. You weren't even going to have to go to their place. It was going to be in your stadium where you had the opportunity to do what Cincinnati did yesterday, and you picked the wrong day to not play your best offensively, not even close. And you picked a team that you just simply couldn't make that many mistakes against and expect to win. Every time, remember we said this when we did our power rankings, every time we started to believe in Cincinnati, they would find a way to try to cut against it and make you stop. Well, we were right to have believed in them when we did. Weirdly enough, I don't know that anybody saw that was the hot team going into the playoffs. Or they did, but they still were reticent to believe in it because they were so young. Mm-hmm. But that's the team that beat Kansas City in week 17, then benched everybody. And the last game doesn't matter. But the way they played, beating Baltimore and finishing them off, doing all that they did down the stretch, sweeping the Ravens and sweeping the Steelers during the regular season, then getting to the playoffs, beating the Raiders, beating the Titans, beating the Chiefs, and now going to Los Angeles. If I'm the Rams, that's a team right now that I'm a little fearful of because I think they feel like they can beat anybody because that's what they've been doing.
Yeah. Won 2 road games too, by the way. Or 3.
In 2 pretty tough places to play. In Nashville first, in this new look Nashville where everybody is back and loud, and it was thunderous. And they shut them up and celebrated on their field and put on the T-shirts and the hats in Arrowhead. 615-737-1045. Your thoughts on what you saw yesterday. As a Titans fan, was it difficult realizing how close you were and maybe in your own mind how beatable you thought Kansas City was, not just because you had beaten them in the regular season, but with what you saw yesterday? Thinking about that defensive performance, what Big Jeff and D'Anico and Harold Landry and that crew could have done. Was it a what could have been situation? Was it very difficult to watch that take place, or were you happy to see it and happy for Cincinnati? We'll be right back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5. The Zone. Went back to our guy Ty Dunn's piece about Joe Burrow from a few weeks ago. I'm going to read again some of the things Kurt Warner had to say about Burrow, which are, I think, very true, especially after watching yesterday. Even Mahomes trying to explain his play and saying sometimes you're looking for the big play and you're trying to make something happen and all this. When things go wrong for Patrick Mahomes, that's usually what happens. And that's what happened this season is that dude's always looking for this home run crazy ball instead of just taking the double and taking a single and getting on base. That's what can get him. And that's what got him during the regular season at times. That's when people were like, hey, man, stop trying to make the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Just make the play in front of you. That's why I kind of want to watch the All-22. I want to see if the defense just had his guys totally blanketed. Because if you read some of the pieces, so they took all the throws outside the numbers away, and they took Tyreek Hill away. I'm like, well, how do you take Tyreek Hill away?
They was on the rushing 3.
Yeah, they did back off that and make him look and try to progress. But at the same time, like, eventually those dudes, when Mahomes is still alive for 10 seconds, that's usually where a Hill or a Hardman break free.
Yep.
Because trying to cover them for that length of time is nearly impossible. But it happened over and over again that they couldn't find anybody. And it has to be that Mahomes is still looking 30 yards downfield.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something underneath that was open that he just didn't want to take for whatever reason. It was either impressive or strange or both. Let's go to Cuzzo Bam. What's going on, Bam?
What's up, Bam?
Good morning, fam. Good morning. Everybody good and kosher this morning?
Man, we good to go.
Man, okay, so look, a few things, man. One, I wondered how well, first let me say this. If our defense would have played, and it really made me mad again last night. I really opened up another wound. For real, because I was like, man, if we sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, ain't no telling what the boys would have did. Patrick would have been running all night yesterday, man. And it made me mad again because it's like, bro, one dumb decision cost us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it made me think, well, how is Ryan feeling watching this game? Or what does J-Rob take from this game and assess from it? Like, okay, you see you have the defense to make it happen. You have the offensive power. Like, what are we going to do here? Like, there's got to be something. Like, you saw the Rams put all the chips on Matthew Stafford, and he's giving them their money's worth right now. There has to be something. Like, this team isn't far away. But, again, I mean, it's got to be something done before there's a whole rebuilding stage again on this team and where they are. And, yeah, I don't know. For me, it was just like, bro, this should be Nashville going crazy right now.
Yeah.
People should be calling in hoarse, not being able to talk. Like, downtown should have been just like it was heartbreaking again to watch. It was like being at the stadium again, like leaving like, bro, come on, Tannehill. Like, golly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's all I got, man. I hope y'all good, man.
I hear it,
Bam,
Bam.
the pain is in your voice. You know what the worst feeling is? Because I saw this before COVID has rendered me being at home for the last week. But I saw the billboards Monday, the last time I was really able to drive. The worst feeling is thanks, Titans fans.
Yeah.
When there's still 3 games left to play or 2 games left to play in somebody's season, because that means – sorry.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I just did hand gestures on a radio program. It's good stuff. It's good, really, really good stuff, man.
I figured that's what it was. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, there's the pause, and I know he's doing stuff.
Chat saw it. Fantastic. Go to Wallace, who's in Kansas. Wallace, what's up?
What's up, Wallace?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good morning.
Well.
Good morning. Just want to touch base a little bit. Okay, so I live here in Kansas, originally from Tennessee. All right. It hurt me real bad yesterday after I saw the game again. I was sitting there watching the game with a bunch of friends up here in Kansas, and it was eating me up.
Yeah.
I really wanted the Chiefs to lose so bad, and the reason why, last week was my birthday. It was my 50th birthday on the 22nd. Of course, I wanted the Titans to win. I had all my Titans gear on and everything. Wife threw me to a surprise birthday party. So we get in the Uber car, and the Uber driver just bust out laughing on me because I had my Titans jersey on. You know, from that point on, I said, okay, you MFs, I'm going to try to lose. So I'm secretly rooting. I got a text. I said I'm secretly rooting for the Chiefs to lose. But my main point is this. Okay, so Mahomes had a bad game and Jimmy G had a bad game. I hope everybody criticized them as much as they did Tannehill. You know, and I'm just going to hang up and listen with that, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, we just did, but at the same time, we started off by crediting the defense.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we're too quick to bury the quarterback or give the quarterback all the praise, when in this case, Cincinnati obviously did something defensively in the second half that changed that game. The game really turned on the whatever failed decision that was right before the end of the first half.
Yeah.
When Kansas City ended up coming away with no points. But Mahomes didn't play well in the second half. That's very obvious.
I say this to Wallace real quick, too, before we go to the break. The thing about those two quarterbacks is this. They did make it further than where the Titans were, even though Garoppolo didn't play a huge part in it. They did, and I think it's the idea, too. Everybody's going to be on him nationally because everybody know he's out of there, but he does have some trade value. I will say that I can see a team actually trading for him that needs a quarterback. The other thing is this. With Patrick, you're going to get on him because he's getting too cute, and I feel like that's fixable. Other part is Patrick also still gives them an opportunity to get to the bowl again. That's the separator in those three.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Like, you'd be shocked if he didn't get back, even with the talent around the AFC quarterback-wise. And the other point, I would say Garoppolo's taken more than Tannehill has. Now, maybe over the last week in Nashville, Tannehill has taken a lot. Maybe nationally he has, but Garoppolo's taken it all year. They've been trying to get him out of San Francisco the entire season. Nobody's talked about them moving on from Tannehill back at week 8.
Right.
Like throwing a rookie out there. He's taken it. Garoppolo has been murdered all year long, whether deserve it or not. I don't know I don't think that critique holds up. I think Garoppolo's taken way more than Ryan Tannehill has this season. When we come back out of the break, I'm going to read again some of what Kurt Warner had said to Ty Dunn about Joe Burrow, because I think it's really important watching what he's doing to understand sometimes taking a layup is the smart play. It's JMart and Ramon, Rocky Boiman in 25 minutes as well here on 104.5 The Zone.
And as the big voice guy just mentioned, it's the Bengals and Rams in Super Bowl 56. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Bengals captured the AFC Championship by defeating the Chiefs 27-24 in overtime in Kansas City. The Bengals rallied from a 21-3 halftime deficit to get the win. Evan McPherson's 31-yard field goal in the extra session sealed Cincinnati's third Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. For the LA Rams, they won the NFC with a 20-17 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. Rams came back from a 10-point deficit to get the win. They sealed it with a late interception of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Snap back to Garoppolo. Pocket crumbling. He spins out. He's hit. He's wrapped up. He flips it forward. It's tipped. It's intercepted. It's intercepted. It's intercepted. Aaron Donald got pressure on Garoppolo, and Travin Howard clinches the NFC Championship game.
Take a breath in there, my guy. The Rams became the first team in NFL history to host a conference title game, followed by hosting and playing in the Super Bowl. You can listen to Super Bowl 56 right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 2, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Lifted up by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here in Nashville, allfourseasonsgarages.com. Go there, get the phone number, or you can just do the contact them email there on the website. Say you want the JMart LiftMaster put into your home. They'll know. They'll come put it in, and your life will instantly get better. Your life's already better because you got us for 3 more hours. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, and Jason Martin. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Rocky Boiman from up in Cincinnati, of course, the former Titan, ESPN analyst. He will join us next segment. We'll talk about, well, what it's like to have a Super Bowl-bound team in your city, especially one that has been one of the jokes of the league.
Yeah.
For decades. Moan, you realize that before the season, according to ESPN, they had a 0.4% chance of making the playoffs.
Oof.
They had a 0.4% chance of making the Super Bowl, I should say. And then they were 8-1 underdogs at halftime yesterday.
What?
To even make that comeback. And still ended up coming back and winning the game against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Down 18 points in the second half. Whole lot of stuff that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So let's get Cousin Peace so he doesn't have to hold real quick. Let's get his phone call. And then I want to read a little bit from Ty Dunn's piece on Joe Burrow because I think it's instructive. Let's go to Cousin P first.
What's
Go
up,
ahead, P.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
So, Bam definitely hit on a lot of points, man. Kind of pointing toward LA and saying like this is the template. I mean, they don't have a first round pick until 2024, but look where they are right now. Next point is I'm really feeling like the AFC is not Kansas City anymore. You know what I mean? It's really truly going to be wide open for the foreseeable future to where there's a lot of teams that could really come out of the AFC. I mean, look how close, how painfully close the Titans were.
Yeah.
We were 3 points, a turnover, and then 3 points from being where, this team is. So that's how close this thing is going to be. But my biggest point on this whole thing, and I'll hang up and listen, guys, is that my outlook on it is the Titans are, I'm looking at that game yesterday, and I'm feeling pretty good to say that, we're actually close. We're here. Last year when we got beat by Baltimore, I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like we were close. I didn't feel like we were right there where we need to be. But this year, I felt like, man, we're right here. We changed some things, guys, and it might be our names getting called next year, man. So I'm keeping the faith, guys. I'll hang up and listen, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, P. So it's only going to get harder in the AFC. I agree. It's not just Kansas City. The question is, where are you in that mix, considering the level of quarterback play across the conference?
Mm-hmm.
That's tough, man. Because I don't put you in that class right now. I don't know about your quarterback in the playoffs because I've never seen it. I've seen the splits. I've seen the numbers. I don't know that you have a quarterback that's good enough right now. Not in a quarterback conference that's going to boast Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. We're going to see if Deshaun Watson fits into that mixture somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers.
And also this, Jay, Josh McDaniels just
taking the Raiders job.
to Raiders. And you have to think he may be able to pull something out of Derek Carr if they decide to keep
they've
him.
got another plan and they're going to bring Russell Wilson in there, and that'll be his quarterback.
Usually,
either way, that's not easy.
No.
And Denver grabbed themselves an offensive coordinator who Aaron Rodgers thinks is a genius, which is unreal, and made him their head coach.
Will it really be that? Like, I'm looking at the conferences now as far as the quarterback goes. We know this is a quarterback-driven league, and I think we can, really stamp that at this point, Jay. If Aaron Rodgers does come to the AFC, I mean, legitimately, this is Fight Club. Nobody's going to speak about it being that one-sided, but it's Fight Club at this point. And you got Matthew Stafford and who on the NFC side?
Well, I mean, if Brady's back, then Brady's back. But it's not the same kind of quarterback conference. You got a lot of question marks. Dak is probably in the mix somewhere. Kyler is still in the mix.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But you don't trust
if Brady
his coach.
retires and Rodgers leaves, then it's like, is Justin Fields ready to step up with a new head coach if they get the coordinator right and become that guy? But Matt Ryan's aging. Jalen Hurts is still I don't know what we think of Jalen Hurts yet. Daniel Jones, I'm done with. Washington doesn't have a quarterback. Goff is fine, but he's more of a bridge guy. Cousins, I think that experiment is over.
Mm-hmm.
If Green Bay goes to Jordan Love, then certainly that becomes whatever it becomes. If Russell Wilson leaves Seattle, which I think he will, what are they going to have there? So, yeah, like the AFC it's a golden age of quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, buddy.
And if you don't have one of those guys, I just don't like your chances. So let me read this real quickly, and then we've got Rocky Boiman. To win a Super Bowl, Kurt Warner believes a quarterback must hit his layups with numbing efficiency for 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row. It's extremely difficult to pull off, and that's why Brady is running out of fingers for his rings. So when pressed years ago who he actually likes other than Tom Brady, Kurt Warner didn't hesitate. Joe Burrow. And that was back when Burrow was 2-7-1 as a rookie. He saw a quarterback processing a fast game at an even faster speed. Quote, if you're an athletic guy, it doesn't mean you can't play. You're going to play a different way. But I just know most guys aren't Lamar Jackson. So you can be athletic to a degree, but you're not athletic enough to survive that way. That's the way it is for most people. So know what you're looking at. Know how to get through your reads, how to get it to the right guy at the right time. That's what Joe does. That's what I always thought separated him. The confidence to believe you can make every play, and then the knowledge to know exactly how to do that, do it quickly, and get your eyes in the right spot as opposed to guessing is 3/4 of the battle of playing in the National Football League. And he went further and he talks about, again, he didn't have the biggest arm. But Warner could make one throw 45 yards down the field. But outside of that, the stuff between 15 and 45, he was able to throw that on the screws pretty regularly. And that's what Burrow does. He doesn't necessarily make the most spectacular play every down, but he makes the solid play. And then maybe the other thing that's more important is he puts the ball in the hands of talented people where they have space to make plays. Yeah. And that's what you see. This is how he finishes this piece. He says, Warner's quote, can you get it from A to B in a fashion that allows your guy to make a play? Mm-hmm. And that's what he does. It's efficient. Sometimes it's not as flashy. But Tom Brady's not flashy. Mm-hmm. What he does generally has been dink and dunk a lot, especially in New England, except when he had a Randy Moss type or somebody like that.
Yep.
You don't have to be Harry Potter back there, which is what I've often called Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, to beat Patrick Mahomes, and Schaefer we were talking about this during the break. I've thought this all season long. If you can just make him start playing hero ball, you can beat Kansas City. And Mahomes even admitted after the game that he was looking downfield. Sometimes he's got to take the simpler stuff. He doesn't want to take the simple stuff. He wants the corkscrew throws and all of that kind of stuff and throwing against his body and being off schedule and all that. And a lot of that is great, but it can get you beat if a defense is just sitting there and playing solid and basically baiting you into trying to make hero plays instead of getting first downs. And I think that's what put Lee Company on your team. You're always going to be ahead of the game when it comes to home maintenance and repair. You can sign up for a Lee Company home maintenance plan for as little as $8.25 a month, $8.25 per month. Home maintenance plan members are going to receive service calls all year, 4 service visits from the Lee Company team of experts, and they come around right before the season where you need them the most. You get an air conditioning system inspection and tune-up that's going to help keep your house cool, the energy savings flowing during the heat of summer, electrical safety and energy savings inspection, a detailed annual plumbing inspection, and right now in the winter, a heating system inspection and tune-up. Plus, if you're a member, you're going to receive special discounts on repairs and replacements. You know how good Lee Company is at everything they do. Having this basically as an insurance plan for your home to make sure your repairs, your maintenance, your efficiency, everything is working the way that it should it's a game changer, and it's absolutely something you should consider. $8.25 a month is like a latte and a half. It's not all that much, especially for what it means to your home. So for the very best in electrical, heating, air conditioning, and plumbing services, call my friends at Lee Company today, 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000 or online at leecompany.com. Again, that telephone number, 615-567-1000.
the Bengals Super Bowl chances rest on his right foot. The kick is up. It is good. Coffin nails.
Bam, bam, bam. That is unbelievable.
That's how it sounded yesterday. Cincinnati, the Bengals radio network right there. Cincinnati, year 2 of Joe Burrow. Saw Ryan Clark say last night that Joe Burrow has engineered the 2 best comeback stories of the decade with what he did at LSU and what he just did for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now they're going to try to finish it the way LSU did with a Super Bowl. All they're going to do is outplay the Rams for 60 minutes in their home stadium, but I wouldn't doubt there's more Bengals fans there than Rams fans.
Facts.
We shall see. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. At JMart and Ramon on Twitter, of course. Guests appear on the program via the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including our friend Rocky Boiman, who, of course, hosts daily in Cincinnati, works for ESPN during the college football season. Really good as an analyst, also an author. Rocky, I bet it's fun to be in Cincinnati right now.
JMart, Ramon, the Queen City is going cuckoo right now. They can't believe it. The long-suffering sports fans, Bengals fans who somehow hung in with this team for the last 30 years through all the futility are rewarded here this morning, and people are just so excited.
So this is the dumbest team I've ever seen, Rocky, and I mean that in the best possible fashion. It's such a stupid team. Like, they're so young. Like, they have no idea what they're doing. Like, in terms of, they don't understand how big what they're accomplishing is, I don't think, which is frightening in its own right because they feel like they deserve to be here. But they're just so stupid, Rocky. Like, I can't believe that they're in the Super Bowl this young. It's so impressive.
It is. Yeah, it's kind of like Ramon. Go back to his sophomore year in high school. Right? He didn't know what he didn't know, so he didn't know if he went up and he asked the prettiest girl in the school out for a date that he was probably going to get denied. So he just went ahead and did it anyway, right? That's kind of like the Bengals right now. No one told them they weren't supposed to be here. They're too young and too stupid to realize it. So they just kept on winning, and you put it out there, and sometimes good things happen.
Rocky, you want to know what's crazy?
That was well done.
That was
a
good.
nice side swipe.
Right, that was good. Wait till I see you. I'm bringing a bucket and a towel to waterboard you, okay? but that's besides the fact. Jay will tell you, and all our listeners too, man, I say this about being successful. Those exact terms right there, like, legitimately be dumb enough, be boneheaded enough, just be silly enough to think that you are the ones to do it. And that's how I felt about my career, just in general. I tell people, if you want to be successful, like, live like that, within a box or whatever. But that's where they are. And I'm looking at this quarterback and how he did in college with his wide receivers, with some of his teammates on the team. Didn't realize he had a lineman on the team also from LSU. But just, where are they this morning? Like, I'm sure school is canceled. Like, there's a lot of things.
Everything.
You can get away with a lot of stuff right now in Cincinnati, right?
You absolutely can. But to your point, I think you make a good point. I think so often in life we kind of slot things, right? Like,
yeah.
If you're a freshman, well, your time's going to come here as a junior or a senior. Not now. Well, it's the kids that say, I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm going to go right now. I'm going to play right now. I'm going to go get that promotion in my office right now. I'm not going to wait for 3 years because, 3 years may never come. So I think it's a good point you make, and that's what this team has done. Yeah, you look at it on paper and you say, okay, this team is making a ton of additions, and probably the next year is the time when this team will really blossom. But no, it's just a testament to these young guys who, to Zach Taylor, also obviously Joe Burrow, and and to your point, man, it's everything in Cincinnati is up for grabs right now. I think if Joe Burrow ran for mayor of Cincinnati right now, he would win it this morning. I think they're probably ready to erect a statue of him, the whole deal, man. So everyone's all fired up.
So, okay, to those points, though, as far as, like, this team is built, it's built a certain way, and you can kind of see that also. With that being said, what actually went into the decision to keep a head coach that had a below 500 record 2 years in a row? That was really bleak as far as what you were going to do as a team. You got rid of the old regime. What or who talked to who to actually say, no, this is going to be all right? What actually did it, Rocky?
That's a good question, and I think the answer is Mike Brown, the owner. And let me tell you, he takes a lot of crap up here because for the longest time, decades and decades, he was the owner who was cheap. He was the owner who was aloof. He was the owner that was kind of, as the game and the NFL was evolving, he was resistant to that. I mean, there'd be times they would, in these owners' meetings, there'd be votes that were 31-1, and Mike Brown was the guy that voted against it, right? Because it wasn't the way he was used to it and his dad was doing it. But I think there's something to be said. It's kind of a, the new school mentality is something ain't working, fix it, get rid of it, get somebody new in there. And for whatever reason, he stuck to his guns and said, well, we're going to give Zach Taylor another shot at this. We're going to allow him to a little bit more time to grow into this role and surround him with his guys instead of the last regime's guys. And it really works. So I think it's a testament to Mike Brown.
Rocky Boiman, our guest here on JMart and Ramon. End of the first half yesterday, they don't score. Kansas City doesn't score. It was watching that. It was just like, man, if that's 28-3, this thing's a bow race. Like I don't see them coming back from 28-3, even though that number we have seen a comeback of 28-3 in the past. But second half of that game, you're a guy that watches defense very, very closely. When you're watching that, what it seemed like to me is they gave Patrick Mahomes a choice. Do you want to do what's simple or do you want to do what's spectacular? And Mahomes a lot of times wants to do what's spectacular, even admitted as such after the game. Like there were some things that were open that he didn't take. He took some weird checkdowns in the game. What exactly did Cincinnati do defensively? Because Mahomes seemed imminently confused and just he wasn't sure what quarterback he wanted to be and how he wanted to lead the offense in the second half.
Right. Well, I mean, to your first point, though, I mean, you look at that game and it's, so 5 minutes to go, Bengals go down and they score, right? And then the Chiefs get the ball back and do what they did the whole half, which is march straight down the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, and then, you're right at the end there, with 5 seconds left, they don't choose to kick the field goal. So it's like, the Bengals fans look at that saying the Chiefs utterly dominated this entire first half, and they're only up by 11. Like, come on, man, we can do this. And interestingly enough, the other game that came back, a championship game that came back from 18 points down, was the one I played in back in 06. It was a similar thing, man. The Patriots beat our brains in, right, the first half. But right before half, we got a field goal that cut it to 15. And you're like, 18 up at half, that's insurmountable. But 15, we can do this, right? I think it was the same thing for the Bengals. Getting that stop was huge. I'm sure Andy Reid will regret that for a long, long time, at least not kicking that field goal or having better clock management, better play selection there at the end. But to your second point with Mahomes, I think that's what it comes down to. Offense, it really is about taking what the defense gives you, right? At the end of the day, you want to make exceptional plays and big plays and all that, but a smart quarterback, a patient quarterback, takes what the defense gives him. And I think the Bengals, it was a little bit of Mahomes maybe starting to flinch a little bit and a little bit of him maybe trying to take those big plays too much instead of taking what the defense gave him, and that was all the difference.
Rocky, where the Cincinnati Bengals are right now as a team. Now, I know that, where they are as far as, being in the Super Bowl would say yes. But I even have to ask you this, though. Looking back at those Andy Daltons, Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, Pac-Man, Burfict teams, is this Cincinnati team, being real, actually better than that team? Because there was Whitworth on that team. They had a line. They had everything. Is this team better than those?
Absolutely, it is.
Okay.
Because Andy Dalton was a nice quarterback, but he wasn't Joe Burrow. He wasn't not from a player standpoint, not from a leadership standpoint, not from a rip your heart out standpoint. I always thought Andy Dalton was again a really good player and a nice guy. You know what I mean? But he never had that. That killer instinct. You play with Ben, right? He's a good dude, but at the end of the day, he wanted to rip your lungs out, right? And Peyton Manning, I played with him was the same way. Steve McNair is the same thing, right? But I always thought there was just a little bit too – there wasn't enough, like, I want to kill you right now in Dalton. And Burrow has that. I think he has that, and I think it's infectious. You talk to all the players on the team, that they say the same thing. So I think any good team, of course, takes a great leader. There's talent on every team, but it takes a good leader to bring all that talent out and get everyone to play together and get everyone to play their best. And I think by having Joe Burrow at the helm, I think he's elevated everyone else.
Obviously, Titans fans are it was kind of bittersweet for them yesterday. I think they felt good, at least for another fan base and all that, but they also realized how close it was to being them. And a lot of the talk here, Rocky, been about Ryan Tannehill, a little bit about the offensive coordinator as well, but a lot of it has fallen on the quarterback's shoulders, as it usually does. Watching that game, the divisional round game that Cincinnati was able to win, do you think that Ryan Tannehill is who he is? Do you think that they're good enough right now with him as quarterback to win a Super Bowl with him, looking at the rest of the AFC and the quarterback play? Or do you think that Tennessee has maybe peaked right now and they need to look in a different direction?
Hey, I think I said this with you guys last week. Tannehill is a really, really good quarterback. And if this were 2002 or 2012, I think you could win with him. But in 2022, I just think you got to have an exceptional player at the quarterback position. I just don't know if you can win with, defense and running the ball now as you could, 10, 15, 20 years ago kind of thing, right? So, and it's not Ryan Tannehill's fault. I think he's a really, really good player. He just happens to be a quarterback in an era where you got to have an exceptional talent. So, I think with the players and the team that the Titans have right now, they might want to try to look in a different direction, which is obviously easier said than done. The Bengals have been looking for a quarterback for like 30 years. The Bills for the longest time were looking for a quarterback until they found Josh Allen. So it's a Titans are in one way are in a great position, in another way they're not. They're like right kind of hitting that glass ceiling kind of thing. So it's going to be up to them to decide if they really think Ryan Tannehill can take the next step, which I don't know if he can, or if they got to go another direction.
Also dumb. Maybe the dumbest Bengal of all is McPherson. Does he understand how difficult it is to make pressure kicks consistently in the National Football League and how easily you can lose that job? Because it sure as heck doesn't seem like it, Rocky.
I agree with you. And what an exceptional quality to have, to have, to be able to block out the pressure of something like that, knowing what happens if you miss the kick, like it or not, the whole game falls on you and everyone's talking about you. And it's just, Adam Vinatieri was the same way. I played with him for a couple of years, and there's just some sort of quality. Something happened to him growing up where he was just had ice water in his veins and nothing got to him. He never thought about the repercussions of missing it. And I think it's the same thing with McPherson. I think, if you walk up to a putt, a 10-foot putt on the green, there's a certain as confident as you are, there's a certain point that flashes in your mind like, crap, what if I miss this thing, right? Or what if I kind of hook it this way or that way kind of thing. I don't think Evan McPherson thinks about that. I think he just thinks, oh, well, I've done this a million times. I'm going to kick it right through those two yellow things right there. And he goes out and does it. It's really amazing.
As far as, the off-season free agents that came in, DJ last year, Mike Hilton this past year, and just the balance of young guys to older guys on that team. The GM that put this together, did you expect him to be this type of way with those guys? Again, when Pittsburgh lost Mike Hilton, I knew it would be a huge loss to them, and it's shown because of the plays that he's made with the Bengals this year. I mean, I know Kelsey kind of broke him down a little bit yesterday, but he does it to everybody.
Yeah. No, Duke Tobin is the director of player personnel. The Bengals are actually the only team that does not have a general manager, believe it or not. So
wow,
Duke Tobin is essentially that guy. Yeah. But yeah, he did a great job of identifying some talent. The biggest one, of course, was Trey Hendrickson coming from New Orleans. He was a guy that had, I think, like 12 or 13 sacks last year, but they had, Cam Jordan on the other side. And I don't know if this guy is really going to work out. I kind of second guessed it as when that was made, but has been absolutely phenomenal. DJ Reader came up huge in the game against the Titans. You mentioned Mike Hilton. So this is an organization, guys, that for the longest time, decades, was the punchline of terrible free agent signings, right? You know, we went and got and I'm trying to think of some of the bad ones we got. Oh God, not Antonio Bryant, I think was the one. Bengals played huge money to, never worked out. You know, misses on draft picks left and right, but combination of the last couple drafts they've absolutely nailed. Not just in the first round, but throughout. You know, you're getting Tyler Boyd in the third round has been a phenomenal player. CJ Uzama was a later round guy, and then on top of that, getting some nailing the free agent picks. It's everything is kind of coming together for this team.
So
Rocky, I was reliably informed that the AFC North was going to run through Cleveland, not Cincinnati. It was going to go through Ohio, but it was going to go through Cleveland. Is this Baker Mayfield's worst nightmare? Because not only does another team come out of the North, it's another team that comes out of the North from the exact same state with a hometown boy who's, grew up 2.5 hours away from Cincinnati, all that roster, all that hype for the Browns. And it's the Cincinnati Bengals, who had a 0.4% chance before the season started of making the Super Bowl, that are actually going to LA.
You know, I never thought of it that way, but I think it's a good point. Yeah, because Ohio was Baker Mayfield's, right? And at least the opportunity was there with a roster that was coming back that was really, really good, and going to be up to him to take the team to the next level. He wasn't able to do that, and I know he had some injuries. And I don't hate Baker Mayfield at all. I love to see him have success, but there's no question right now. There's some things he's done on and off the field that I'm sure he would probably regret or do over again. And you look at Joe Burrow, who's done on and off the field, done everything right. Kept his mouth shut. He's not in 15 commercials. He's not, he's getting the work done in the off season, says the right things in the press conferences, doesn't get too edgy or too out there or bring a bunch of attention on himself. And then he goes out on the field and you see what he's doing every single week. So it's kind of a testament to how you want your quarterback. I think you can have your wide receiver be, boisterous and outlandish and stuff and talking smack. Yeah, you probably want that. You probably want, a linebacker or a defensive end like that, but you don't want your quarterback. You want your quarterback somebody who's buttoned up, yes sir, no sir, we're all about the team, and then just goes out there and plays at a high level. I think that's what you want.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Rock.
Yeah.
Great stuff, brother. It's a fun time for you, no doubt about that. A fun time. I'm sure your audience, man, I can't even imagine how much alcohol is being consumed in Cincinnati this week. More so than chili, maybe for the first time in a long time. Enjoy it. Who knows how often you get it back. So I'm sure they are living high right now.
That's right. And Ramon, remember Ramon back when you were a sophomore. If there's something you want to do, go do it, right? You go ask that pretty girl out. Don't hesitate, okay?
100%. Yes,
well done,
Rocky.
I'll see you guys.
I love it.
Yeah, man. That's Rocky Boiman. Rocky's Rules. Go pre-order that book. Well, not pre-order it. You can actually just order the book
You
now.
can order. I got me one.
Moan's got a signed copy of it.
I did. Man, Rocky said, shoot your shot. Titans fan, what's the shot you going to shoot now? God, this is
you heard what he said. I asked the Tannehill question.
Yeah.
I felt like he would give an answer. He's like, yep, in 2002, 2012, he could win you a Super Bowl. In 2022, I don't know. Your thoughts on that takeaway specifically? I got a topic at 8:00 about Derrick Henry that I want to hit.
Oh.
That we kind of talked about a little bit off air. I mentioned that I'd been thinking about something all weekend long in a text thread. And I want to bring it to the show and see what people think about it. But what did you think about that Tannehill answer specifically, Titans fans? And listening to that and knowing what Rocky's about to experience over the next few weeks in the media, I would love for that to be happening right here.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for that. Even COVID wouldn't have kept me out of the studio. I'd have been all in there right now. So right now is the FOMO of all FOMOs, but there's no way for you to actually be a part of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult is that? 615-737-1045. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. We're lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. About to finish up second hour, which means we've got 2 more to go this morning. Super Bowl 56 matchup is set. Bengals Rams. Rams a 4-point favorite. It opened at 3.5. So relatively close, but most of these games, like if the number's under 3, you don't want any part of it because all these games are being won by field goals. And past that, the Bengals, like I said, I'm going to stick with this. The Bengals are the dumbest team I've ever seen. I've never seen a team more ignorant in my life, just ignorant to the moment. Like, I don't think they even realize or care how big the moment is. And that's just, it's unbelievable. It really, really is.
And being young, I remember making it same year as Joe Burrow did in year 2. And I told y'all that time and time again, like, so young and dumb. When we lost, I was just like, oh, we'll be back. Or the fact that Pittsburgh won the year before I got there, didn't make the playoffs my rookie year. My second year we went back. I was like, oh, this is the norm. No, sir. No, sir, it is not. It's a hard ride to get to the top every single year, Jay.
Ryan Clark said when he first got to LSU, when Joe Burrow first got to LSU, RC hated him. He's like, he's walking around like he's Tom Brady or somebody like that. He threw 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He's walking around with all this confidence, like he's good and all this. And then he had the greatest season a college quarterback's ever had. And now he's in the Super Bowl in his second year. He goes, oh, so he is that good. Like that, like it's like, okay.
Well, think about this.
Yeah, now
Dwayne Haskins beat him out at Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say about that anymore.
Did Haskins get a natty?
No, he did not.
He didn't.
No.
And now he's scuffling with the Steelers.
And now he's not going to be part of the future.
Type stuff gets you fired if Ohio State wasn't so bulletproof. You know?
Yeah.
That type stuff gets you fired if Ohio State wasn't that bulletproof.
Here's the thing. They kept winning anyway.
I know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Because they're a factory.
Ugh.
They are a machine. Let's go to Kevin in Clarksville before the top of the hour. Kevin, what's going on?
What's up, Kevin?
Hey, how y'all doing this morning?
We're good. Good morning.
Good.
Great. Man, I was looking at the game yesterday, and everything that Burrows didn't surprise me, just seeing how they beat the Raiders so bad. But I'm looking at the game, I'm thinking to myself, man, we need a quarterback like that. We need a quarterback like the Chiefs. But then I look at the 49ers, and I'm thinking to myself, man, Garoppolo is so bad. But then I'm thinking to myself, but look where Garoppolo's at, and look where Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to having a good team around you. So I think we're okay with Tannehill. I think we just got to get some good help around him. That's my thought.
So you got a lot of help around him, and I think we're okay with Tannehill. Is okay the standard? Is okay what you want?
Right.
I'm just asking a question. I'm not even necessarily answering it. I think Titans fans feel like this team should be further along, and they have no margin for error because their quarterback is very relentlessly. He's just a guy. He's not the guy.
Yeah.
You can look at Cincinnati, they've got the guy. You can look with the Chargers, you realize they've got the guy. And I mean for the foreseeable future. Ryan Tannehill is on the, he's not 29. He's 33, I guess it is, right?
He's on the clock,
He's pretty close there.
And as far as his contract goes, too.
Yeah. I mean, look, you've seen quarterbacks that are unspectacular names that have gotten there. Remember Rich Gannon? Rich Gannon was nothing. Then all of a sudden he made it to the Super Bowl with Bill Callahan. He had that consecutive completion streak and everything with the Raiders. It started working out. That Super Bowl was Rich Gannon against Brad Johnson. But to Rocky Boiman's point, that was closer to 2002 than 2022. A lot of teams were running the ball a lot more back then. It was defense and it was running the ball. And that leads me to the point we're going to make to open the 8 o'clock hour about Derrick Henry. And that is watching Joe Mixon and watching Cam Akers and watching some of these backs that we've seen in this past couple of weeks or just throughout the regular season. Is it actually harder to win with a back like Derrick Henry than it would be some of these other guys That's a question we will tackle after the top of the hour headlines. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
8:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. As the big voice guy just mentioned, Bengals Rams Super Bowl 56. The game can be heard here on The Zone. The Bengals captured the AFC Championship by defeating the Chiefs 27-24 in overtime in Kansas City. The Bengals rallied from a 21-3 halftime deficit to get the win. Evan McPherson's 31-yard field goal in the extra session sealed Cincinnati's third Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. The LA Rams won the NFC title with a 20-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams came back from a 10-point deficit to get the win. They sealed it with a late interception of Jimmy Garoppolo. Rams become the first team in NFL history to host a conference title game, followed by hosting and playing in the Super Bowl. The Las Vegas Raiders hired Patriots Director of Player Personnel Dave Ziegler as their general manager, expected to hire New England offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels as their new head coach, according to ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5, The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, JMart and Ramon. It's a wide open hour. We will have Teresa Walker, the queen from the Associated Press, in the final hour of the program. But it is 11-year NFL veteran involved for life. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. Super Bowl 56 is set. Bengals Rams at SoFi. Rams will be the first team to host the NFC Championship game in the same place the Super Bowl is being played. Last year, Tampa Bay won it in their own stadium. The Rams will have the opportunity to do that again. All they have to do is somehow beat Joe Burrow, as he's been unreal in the postseason, and his team has risen their level of play right around him. We're on Twitter at JMartin Ramon, 615-737-1045. So here's the question I posed right before the break. Is it harder to win with Derrick Henry than a back like Joe Mixon or someone like that? Let me quickly just give you the reason why I'm asking this question, because on face, you're like, oh, you're going to disregard Derrick Henry. No, I'm really not. I am saying that watching Cam Akers yesterday, watching Joe Mixon, look, Mixon was 21 for 88 yesterday.
Yeah.
Cam Akers was 13 for 48. There wasn't a whole lot happening on the ground. Jerick McKinnon was the leading rusher for Kansas City, 12 for 65. And then Deebo Samuel had 26 yards, and that was the most rushing yards for the Niners. But the reason I asked the question is this. Are you sure that Derrick Henry is the guy that you would want if you were building a team? Meaning you have to commit so much of your offense to him in order to make that work. The way that we've seen it, he's not doing this on 15 carries. He's doing it on 25 carries. You know, Mixon had 21 yesterday, but a lot of that was late in the game too. I look at that and say your passing rhythm gets affected. Your quarterback can't really get into the same level of flow. There's a positive and negative to this. That's why I think it's a question that's worthy of looking into a little bit. Do you want to commit that much to the run? If you were building a team, this is what this team is, and you know what this team is going to be. But we talked about how maybe this offense needs to flow a little bit more through the 11 than it does 22. At least more so than it has over the past year or so. And AJ hasn't been healthy at times, and obviously Derrick Henry missed half the year. But, Mon, you tell me, like, I want a back that's versatile. I want a back that can be on the field on third down and 5+. I want a back that can catch it consistently and be a threat in the flat as well as behind my quarterback. And I want a guy that might be able to give me chunk yardage on one of his first 10 carries as opposed to more often than not third and fourth quarter when he's already had 22 or 23, because that's a lot of snaps.
Yeah.
One of the things we saw yesterday in the fourth quarter was they got one possession each in the AFC title game.
Yep.
And Romo kept making that point, even though he actually irritated me some yesterday.
Did he?
The long Bengals drive, and he's like, Burrow may not get the ball back, and he kept making that point because he thought he was going to be right.
Yeah.
And he turned out pretty much to be right, but they ended up losing the game in overtime, and Cincinnati were able to shut them down even after losing the coin toss. But like I said, it sounds like slander. I'm not meaning it to be slander. Derrick Henry's fantastic. We know this. Potentially a Hall of Famer. But you do have to commit a lot of the offense to him.
Yeah, you do. And this is one thing we talked about this offseason. As we kind of revisit last season and looking where teams are right now, they're in the playoffs, they're running back style. And I honestly think we were starting to see some of that from Derrick Henry. I think he had already surpassed his last year's receptions as far as catches this year before he actually got injured. So I think he understands he has to evolve in this league too. And the one thing that, if we revisit the divisional game is this, like the 20 reps that Derrick got and the amount of yards that he actually added to the offense, I don't think you can win in the playoffs that way. And I say that saying like Derrick needs time to get going. The biggest thing that you get during the regular season is this, though. You do have the next week, or teams play a little bit different when the playoffs, as compared to the playoffs to the regular season. Those yards and just being, transparent in it, I don't think they were good enough as far as what you needed to actually win the game. The Joe Mixon idea of, he can get the ball and go. Or, just look at Cam Akers, can get the ball and go also. And truth being told, looking at the burst that Deontay Foreman had this past week. This past week whenever they played in the divisional round. That's what you're looking for when you're giving the ball to a running back, or the idea that, look, we can check down or we can throw to him in the passing game. Derrick's not really in the passing game unless it's a screen. So, again, I'm not saying Derrick's not the guy, because he is, but I think this offseason he realized he has to catch the ball more. He's got to be in on not second, but also on third down also. And he's got to evolve, because that's the thing about it. The longer you can stay in this league is by evolving more. That's something that he's got to do. This offense has got to command from him. And truth be told, Todd Downing has to put him in situations where that's actually going through his hands more. If you want him to get that MVP candidate conversation, if you want him to be a 2,000-yard back, or not even that, screw the 2,000 yards almost at a point, because that's going to be led with an asterisk now anyhow. You know why? Mm-hmm. The 17th game. Mm-hmm. So I think it's on Todd to challenge him, and also I think it's Derrick too moving forward. Although I will say we saw more pass catching from him this year. We saw him working on it in camp. We saw him working on it in the offseason too, the idea that he needs to have the ball in his hand, not just as a handoff. So when we're looking at these running backs that are in the league right now, Kamara, multifaceted running back. Dalvin Cook, same way. McCaffrey, when he's healthy, the exact same way. Nick Chubb can do the same thing. Kareem Hunt can do the same thing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire can do the same thing. Like Zeke when he's on, or Pollard when they're on. Like
Devin Singletary, all these guys.
And the reason why did Le'Veon get another opportunity in Tampa before he got cut? Well, that's because he can run the ball. He's also a pass threat. The reason we were dying so hard to get him to the offseason was because Le'Veon Bell in his prime was a matchup nightmare. You either had to commit a DB to him, which would put us in a better situation as far as running the ball, or he was going to break down a linebacker in ways in which you had deficiencies on your defense. Like if Derrick could run routes, I'm just throwing this out there. He's a dynamic runner. But if he could run routes and break down somebody like a wide receiver or even a tight end, imagine what a 2-for-1 with him would do. When you're giving the ball to Derrick, you're getting the 1-of-1. It's going to be a run game, or either they set up a very nice screen. And even then, they go to other backs at times for the screen game. Imagine having him, and then he's able to break down a linebacker. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, creating mismatches is the name of the game.
It is.
And when it comes to and I think your point about the regular season is apt, because you have another game. It's like maybe you want him in the regular season, but in the postseason, he can kind of handcuff you a little bit by what he does. Where if I have Mixon, I know what I can do with Mixon, his balance and some of the other things that he can do when he can catch the ball in the open field. But I also can still let the offense flow through Joe Burrow. I can let the offense flow through Jamar Chase or Higgins or whoever has the hot hand that day as a receiver. And I think that gives me more ways to win. And I think that's what you want in the playoffs is, if plan A doesn't work, what is plan B? And what we have seen over this Vrabel era with Tannehill at quarterback and Derrick Henry at running back is, if 22 is bottled up a little bit, they don't have a plan B that consistently gets the job done against top flight opposition, especially in January. Now, look, Aaron Rodgers lost and Tom Brady lost and Josh Allen didn't make the championship game. Like, none of this makes it obvious and makes it guaranteed that you're going to be able to get the job done. But I just feel like if you do think Tannehill can be good enough, then he's got to be in some kind of a rhythm.
Yeah.
And there was no rhythm at all to be found throughout 75% of the divisional round game that the Titans lost. And Tannehill in the past, when Derrick Henry got shut down in the postseason, that's when they're going home every time, because the offense rides and dies on Derrick Henry being able to get chunk plays. And then you start to realize later the plays that often we end up talking about and taking phone calls about are A.J. Brown catches.
Yeah.
Or something like that down the field that opened up. You look at what the Niners are doing with a quarterback that I don't think is as good as Tannehill, despite the fact that he has played in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The offense ran through Debo. It ran through Debo and occasionally Elijah Mitchell or somebody like that, but it ran through Debo Samuel because Samuel was a pass catcher and a running back. They just found ways to get him the ball because he was a playmaker. Derrick Henry, you're turning around, you're handing the football off, or you're tossing the football to him 9 times out of 10, or you're doing a direct snap to him. In that case, I will continue to say this. I think more of this offense has to run through A.J. Brown. Looking at some of the guys that have succeeded in this playoffs, and even looking at A.J. when he made the ridiculous catch in the end zone where Tannehill had no business even completing that ball, and A.J. bailed him out. Like, all of that, A.J. Brown, I think, needs to be the focal point of the offense. You need to find a way to get that guy the football in space, and you need a quarterback that can get it to him as often as humanly possible. And Derrick Henry needs to be a compliment and a big compliment. But I don't think you can go into next year 30 carries Derrick Henry a game and expect that you're going to win a Super Bowl. I just don't think that's what Cosell said, right? I don't think that formula works anymore.
And I would say this too, is games in which that's necessary. Those grind out games, those, hey, 4-minute offense, close out the game, give it to Derrick, give it to Derrick, give it to Derrick. And you know what? He's proven to be able to close out games that way to where teams eventually break. But to have the ability to spin it through the air and get chunk plays to where, what's a chunk play in the passing game? 20 yards. A chunk play in the passing game is like 30. I'm going to take the 30 all day long. We've seen that. We heard Rocky say that in his interview with him. What did he do? What does Joe Burrow do? Get it to his guys that can make plays down the field real fast. Like, is there some hit and miss in that? Yeah, but he still gets a completion, and he also might get 2 or 3 yards, which I've heard Bruce Arians say, that's as good as a run. You know what I'm saying?
Well, look, the running back, here, let's do a basketball analogy. The running back, like a Derrick Henry, is a great dunk.
Yeah.
It's a great dunk, but a 3 is going to beat you.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody shoots 3s now. What is the 3 if not the pass down the field? Because you're getting further, you're getting closer to a spot where you're going to score 6 points, or at least set yourself up, especially if you got a kicker like McPherson, to get you a field goal. And look, Joe Burrow had 250 yards passing yesterday. It wasn't 500 yards and 12 touchdowns. It was just a 86.5 passer rating. He did throw a pick in the game. It was a nice play made over by the sidelines. It's 23 of 38. Like Burrow, and we're talking about it. Grady is because he has been great throughout this postseason, but it wasn't some like otherworldly performance. It was just good enough and enough throws to keep chains moving. And that's what it took. And then Mixon gave you 88 yards, 4.2. It wasn't flashy, but it doesn't have to be flashy. It just has to be consistent. And the chunk plays, those dynamic plays, make the difference a lot of times between winning and losing. That's why Mahomes is looking down the field trying to go for 40 instead of 12.
Yeah.
And that's why they're going to be sitting at home in 14 days. 615-737-1045, 737-1045. Is it sacrilege? Is even posing that question sacrilege about Derrick Henry? I see we already have 3 people on the line that want to talk about that. So after the break, we'll get to the phone lines. Is it harder to win with a Derrick Henry? Would you rather see more of the offense go through an A.J. Brown? Would you, if you were building a team, would you take another running back potentially? they could do more for you with less. I don't know. I'm just curious where you guys are on it. We'll take your phone calls and react next. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Baker Burwell is the disability brokerage financial professionals can count on to deliver disability insurance education, products, and services. Most people ask you, what is your most valuable asset? And you're going to tell them, man, it's my home. But think again, it is your income. And this may sound crazy, but let me explain. Say you make $150,000 a year and you're 35 years old. Even if you never get a pay raise, you'll make $4.5 million in your working lifetime. And I'm guessing your house is a little bit less than $4.5 million, even here in Nashville. As a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about ensuring my income or my career. And I'm sure that applies to you as well, because we just go and don't think about those things. But have you considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or an injury? For 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure it up to 60% tax-free, and that's the best part about it. Don't let your next paycheck be your last paycheck. Bad things happen to good people. We see that day in and day out around us. But Baker Burwell is the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents when providing solutions in income protection. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor to make sure you are properly insured. They are local and want to see their community be protected and simply win. So give them a call at 615-309-5958 or visit their website at bakerburwell.com.
Welcome back. We're glad to have you with us. Last day of January, already 1 month down in 2022. Super Bowl 56 matchup is set. Bengals, Rams. All Four Seasons Garage Doors is why we're here. Tal, we're here. All4seasonsgarages.com. Go there. Tell them you want the JMart Lift Master, the one that was put in my place about 3-4 weeks ago. I promise you it's a good choice. It's a game changer in every sense of the word. Find us on Twitter, by the way, at JMart and Ramon. 615-737-1045. The question we asked to lead off this hour, I guess I asked it in the last segment of the last hour, was, is it harder to win with Derrick Henry? If you were starting a team, is that the running back you would want? Or would you want somebody with a different level of versatility, or somebody you don't have to commit so much of your offense to on a regular basis to get a certain degree of production, which obviously that production is outrageous. Dude had 2,000 yards back when there were still 16 games. So we know how good he is. And I am not trying to just inflame people or anything like that. I'm just asking the question to see what you guys think of a hypothetical. That is literally it. So let's start with Trey in Nashville and get his thoughts. Trey, you go right ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing, fellas?
Good morning,
Good,
Trey.
Good morning. Hey, buddy. Hey, I have to break it to you. Derrick Henry is not the Derrick Henry of old. Okay. That's number one. The man is trying to play with a plate in his foot. Number two. Number three, you can't dedicate 65, 70% of the playbook to Derrick Henry or to a Joe Mixon. You can't do that in today's NFL. We need to focus on wide receivers, tight ends, trying to, do something as far as time of possession. If it takes us 6 minutes to go down and score 7 points when somebody can score 7 points in 3 minutes, that's a disadvantage right there. The whole playbook needs to be thrown in the trash. And y'all let me know what you think, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Trey, what do you think about that, Mo?
And you know what, just for clarity, too, as far as Cosell comments went, he was just saying you couldn't have an offense that was predicated off the run as much as the Titans do, meaning their biggest their biggest passes plays come off of play action. And now I think that's where Trey was going also with that is, look, can you have a playbook that has the passing game and also have the running game? Meaning Tannehill gets to the point to where, hey, line them up, let's go. I don't know if we've seen that because it relies heavy on what Derek is saying to where, Trey's comment kind of just came in to a point to say you need more weapons to kind of get that down the field. I think that's a very valid point, but also this too, and I've seen people on social media, tweeted us and at the account saying, well, I don't think the issue is mainly just Derek, but it's also, do you trust Tannehill to throw it 35, 40 times too? And
look, that's a valid
both of those
question.
things.
That's the second part of the equation.
Yeah.
Like that, those two things go hand in hand. I'm asking the Derrick Henry question, knowing the Tannehill question is what we're going to talk about for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't see a scenario where he's not your quarterback next year, but I know that's going to be the topic because it was the topic all last week.
Mm-hmm.
After you lose the quarterback, especially when he throws 3 interceptions, he's going to take the brunt of the blame, deserve it or not. And in this case, I think it's probably deserved.
Mm-hmm.
With the way the defense played, you can give some to Downing or whatever, but the dude that threw the 3 interceptions was the dude that was your quarterback. So that's definitely part of it. Let's go to cousin Andrew in Portland up next. Andrew, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Andrew? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, fellas. First of all, taking 6 minutes to score a touchdown versus 3, that was a pretty weak statement there. You can still win that way, but as far as can you win with the Derrick Henry centric offense, I think you can, and I don't think that we have a choice right now. I think that we're looking at changing. If you say you can't win with Derrick Henry, then you say you can't win with this offense, because if you look at the way it's structured, we run block. We're not very good at pass blocking. The entire offense is, like y'all said, focused on Derrick Henry himself and that style of offense. And I do think we need to lean more on A.J. Brown because that guy's dynamic. And I don't know why we're so skeptical of doing so, because if you look at it, who is Tannehill most comfortable throwing to? I mean, when he throws to A.J. Brown, they're dimes. Mm-hmm. They're beautiful passes. And A.J. makes catches to make them look better when they're not on point. So Look, at the end of the day, we have one more year of this.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. If you look at the contracts and the way they're structured, there's an out for Tannehill after next season. Derrick Henry's a free agent after next season. Lawan's contract ends next season, and so does Saffold. Run left, right? So I think we're stuck with it for one more year. I think you can win with it, but the problem is there is absolutely no margin for error. You have to be perfect.
Man.
Andrew, let me ask you a question. You
when you
usually
reach the
say something,
playoffs,
and then you say you have a good day. I actually want to ask you a follow up real quick. So what you're saying, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Let me ask you this: the hypothetical that I posed was, if you were starting a team, would you want to start it with Derrick, or would you want to start it in a different way? What would you say to that?
I love Derrick Henry. I've got his jersey. He's one of the only jerseys. Well, no, he is the only jersey I own. No, I would not start my team with Derrick Henry because you have to have a perfect team around it. And if you give me one choice to build my team around, I'm sorry, but it wouldn't be Derrick because this is not the way the NFL is now. I mean, when you have a quarterback who can get on the field in 13 seconds to win you the ball game, like I said, no margin for error. You have to run that clock out. You give somebody 13 seconds, you can lose. So the answer to that's no. I wouldn't start it with Derrick Henry.
Wow. Yep.
Okay.
You ain't wrong,
Appreciate it, Andrew.
It sounds
That's
bad
why
to
I
say,
asked.
but it ain't wrong, Jay. You know.
Yeah. It's again. Sounds sacrilegious. Nobody is disregarding how great Derrick Henry is. We're just looking at how the NFL is. And the 13-second point is a really, really, really good point. That Mahomes had 13 seconds, and you weren't surprised that they still found a way to win that game against Buffalo because he's that special. And you're always one play away with that guy, whether it's Kelsey or Hill or even Hardman or Pringle or whoever it is. You're one play away. You were one play away for Josh Allen and Gabriel Davis 4 times in that game.
Yep.
AJ, you scored a touchdown on the big play there in the corner of the end zone against Cincinnati. But you've got to have more of that. In this league, especially in the AFC, it just gets harder. It doesn't get easier. Greg in Nashville's next. Greg, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good morning, man.
Hey.
I'm doing well. I think the question is kind of laughable. I think Derrick Henry is the best running back, has been the best running back for a couple of years. I think sometimes our passing game is not competent. Unfortunately, it doesn't look great. To the caller before me's question, I think Tesla Rogers is the receiver that Tannehill has been most comfortable with. But ultimately, the Titans is a running team. We have been a running team. So it doesn't matter who you put back there. If you say you can't run with Derrick Henry, then I don't think you can win with anybody. As, like I said, I think Derrick is the best, has been the best. We'll see what happens after the injury. But, no, I think we're a running team. And, unfortunately, Tannehill does have some shortcomings that, we may not be able to overcome. But, no, I think we can do just fine if Derrick returns to form. And, if you guys want to pass more, then we need to change the philosophy on offense. This is what needs to happen.
Yep.
All right, Greg, what do you think, Ron?
Well, I think that's what we're saying. And again, was it Greg? We're not saying Derrick's not good, or at least we're not alluding to the fact. It's the fact that can you win big with him as the focal point? That's the question. Is what are you willing to sacrifice? Like, do you challenge him? Again, it goes back to Todd Downing, too, like as far as his incorporation into the offense. Like, if you want Derrick out there for 20, 30 reps, then you got to ask more of him instead of just run right, run left. Again, I think this offense could or should have some more counter plays, more gap scheme, because the thing about Derrick is this: if he's just a runner only, then you need to make it to where his runs are very productive. And I know he's a big back, but don't let the size fool you as far as what he can do. Like Usain Bolt still needs a good start to win a race. That's the thing. Like, Derrick needs a good start. There's so much trash that comes towards this offense whenever he's on the field to where it really stops his production as far as getting to the line of scrimmage and breaking plays. Like, you say what you want to, but the spark that Deontay Foreman ran and the physicality that he had in his first 5, 6, 7 yards in the game, like, it's a difference between his and Derrick's. And Derrick does command that type of attention. But Foreman hits the hole, seems a little bit harder and with a little bit decisiveness, a little bit more cut. Like, if you're going to give it to Derrick, be smart about how you give it to him. Give him some space. Look at the way he goes whenever they're at his feet or their traction of it. Like, again, I think it will push more towards Todd Downing and Derrick Henry's style. But again, to win in this league, you better have a real good passing game. So the question that you asked, Jay, was, can you build an offense around them to win in this NFL?
Yes, that's really it. Like the last two callers both suggested, this is the offense you've got. My question is it the offense you want? Because those are two different things. Like, yes, you are built around Derrick Henry in the run. We understand this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had your decision to make and you were building a team, it's not about whether Derrick Henry is the best running back in the league. It's about what you're willing to commit to running the football in 2022. When you look at, eventually it comes down to this, Mo. Your quarterback does have to make a play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Garoppolo couldn't make a play late in that game against the Rams when they were down a field goal, and they went home.
Yep.
Everything else, defense got to be lights out. They sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. They didn't even make it past the divisional round.
Yep.
Vrabel's 2-3 in the playoffs. This offense has been the same, even with Arthur Smith. We all love Arthur Smith. They dedicated a ton to Derrick Henry. If that dude shows up and gets shut down in a game, they're going to get beat every single time. It's much harder, it seems like, to shut down a great quarterback than it is a great running back, because it's so much harder to find a great quarterback than it is a great running back. Steve in Franklin is next. Steve, you go right ahead.
Hey, guys, love the show. And, man, I think the question is brilliant, and it really Greg led up to my point. Thanks, Greg. Since 1999, I've been watching this team, and it just seems like somewhere in the building there must be a contract that coaches and GMs have to sign that says we will be a run-first team. Because it's just been that way. And, of course, we had a quarterback carousel for a long time. And I think Moan said it last week. It's like there's only one team in the NFL right now that is a hardcore run-first team, and that's us. And we happen to be the one team that can't seem to get a Super Bowl win. And so I do think it needs to be a philosophy change. Yeah, we've got what we got, but I think that if we had Josh McDaniels or Kyle Shanahan or even Artie back without the I must be a run-first team philosophy, we'd be in a Super Bowl right now. I think we've got it. Just a quick stat, and I'll let you guys go. Tom Brady has thrown 3 interceptions in 4 different playoff games, and they won 3 of those. And Tom Brady has thrown 4 interceptions in 6 different games in his career, and he is the GOAT. So I do say that quarterback first, man. Derrick Henry's amazing. I love him. I don't want anybody else. But philosophy change. We got to put the ball in Ryan Tannehill's hands, and if he can't do it, we get somebody else. But I think he can. I think with the right OC, we'd be in the Super Bowl right now. That's all I got. Thanks, guys. Love the show.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Steve.
Thanks,
So,
Steve.
Simone, there you go. Like, that's part of it. What's the difference between the Rams this year and the Rams last year? Well,
Stafford.
I mean, they did make some free agent moves, but it's the quarterback.
Well,
Quarterback yesterday went 31-45, and a lot of it was done in the fourth quarter when it mattered the most. Who has the most fourth quarter comebacks in the regular season since taking over in the NFL? It's Tannehill. But in the playoffs, I haven't seen much that has blown me away. I need my quarterback to be able to make that play consistently in the postseason to beat a lot of these teams. And the idea of the run first, I feel like I would rather – all I need – how many times did Tom Brady win with a great running back? Once maybe with Corey Dillon?
Yeah.
Like everybody else, it was Kevin Falk or it was Woodhead or it was Michelle or it was somebody like that. Like, I don't need you to get me 2,000 yards. LeGarrette Blount, another good example. I don't need you to get me 2,000 yards. In the playoffs, I need you to get me a couple first downs. I need you to get me those yards. I need you to get me the yards that matter. I don't need the 2,000. As great as that is, as impressive as that is, what I need is on 3rd and 6. Can I throw the ball to you in the flats? You make somebody miss or bowl them over if you're Derrick Henry. and get me the first down. I don't need to hand you the ball 35, but if I hand it to you 15, can you get me 3 first downs?
Leonard Fournette and how Tom Brady made him a pass catching running back.
Yeah.
You know, like or Clyde Edwards-Helaire when they won it. You know, it's like there's a few things that go into it, Jay, that again, that's because looking at the team that made it, Cincinnati, you were there. You know? And if those plays, again, could have gone to a guy that could get the ball and make, you know, 1 or 2 people miss and get it into space instead of fighting City Hall as far as D-lines go. It's easier to stop the run than it is to pass sometimes.
It is. It does tend to be. And again, if that's your only plan and your quarterback's not in rhythm, don't be surprised when he can't pull it out in the playoffs because there's no flow. There's nothing there. There's no there, as some people would say. Will, Joseph, Brian, Joseph, Will, Bo, Andrew. Literally 8 lines loaded right now to talk about this topic. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to roll through the phones. We're going to roll through them at the end of this hour. We're going to roll through them to open the 4th hour before Teresa comes on. If you're on hold, I promise you will get on the air. Just hang with us. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. 11-year NFL veteran, Vol for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. Those were our names. Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. I know the lines are loaded, so let's get to it. Will in the Borough up first this segment. Will, you go right ahead. Will, you still with us?
Will, you with us?
Yeah. Hey, good morning.
Hey, go ahead.
Good morning, Will.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Good, man. I love listening to your show in the morning. I listen to it every day.
Appreciate
you.
So if I'm the offensive coordinator, if I have control of the Titans offense, I'm going to minimize Derrick Henry's load, and I'm going to maximize A.J. Brown's load. And I'm also going to get Tannehill in the offseason with whatever best tight end we can find, because it seems like Tannehill likes to throw to the tight end a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And with A.J. Brown, I'm not comparing him to Deebo Samuel, but when I see the 49ers use Deebo Samuel, I'm like, man, I wish the Titans could really use a healthy A.J. Brown in those type of scenarios, because he's a big, strong back. So we just got to adjust that offense a little bit more and start utilizing the tools that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can get it done.
Yeah, that's fair to ask.
Look, man, two things. You read my mind on both things. I think about AJ a lot when I'm watching Deebo, but the bigger thing is the tight end point. One of the guys that stood out to me yesterday, Mom, was Kendall Blanton.
Yep.
5 catches, 57 yards for the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they needed a play, he just happened to be there, and he was their third guy. Like, Hoppy's son wasn't available, and Higbee got knocked out early in the game, and Blanton just showed up. He had 5 targets. He had 5 receptions on 5 targets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look. I mean, Uzama went down.
Yep.
Their backup was able to make a couple of plays for Joe Burrow. But there are tight ends. We talked about it all year about how important the tight end can be, and it's just not a focal point of this offense. If it's Ferkser's deficiencies, then somebody else has got to be here, because I do not, especially if you got Tannehill and not somebody that can just make otherworldly plays every single time. You got to help your quarterback out a little bit, and not having a tight end that can do things consistently for you more than just blocking, to me, is a big time hole in this team.
Or the other part of, and we get through calls, is watching what T. Higgins did yesterday. Uzama went out, and the guy that replaced him and some of the routes he was running was T. Higgins. So it goes to the playmaker / big body / tight end mix that you need incorporated in this offense more. I don't want to talk too much because the calls have been good this morning.
Yeah, I know. The calls have been good. Joseph in Smyrna. Joseph, what's up?
What's up, Joseph?
Hey, guys. Just want to kind of ask about where the Titans fans are getting the notion that the best, Derrick Henry, that he's pretty much, they're calling him done. From the point of, he just had a plate put in his foot. He's played on one game. Mm-hmm. He just gave you 2,000 yards and then was finished top five in rushing, just coming off that season. Also on the Ryan Tannehill thing, at the beginning of the year when Taylor Lewan got absolutely whipped by Chandler Jones in game 1, I feel like, I guess as Brent says, where he gets the yips, that he was just uncomfortable from that point on, because whenever the left side of the line got somewhat okay, it was the right side of the line gave out. And I feel like his confidence was just all season long. It was just so inconsistent that he wasn't sure where pressure was coming from, and it just overall mentally just messed with him.
Yeah.
Do you with Derrick Henry? No, you can't. You can't in this league now, in the NFL now. You cannot build around a running back. Back Tampa Bay days, when Tampa Bay and Monty Kiffin, Tampa too, hey, that right there, defense wins championships then. Offense puts the butts in the seat back then. Now it's the opposite.
Yep. Really good point.
Yeah, it's good stuff, Joseph. Let's get one more in at least for the break.
Go
maybe
ahead.
A couple. Brian in Nashville. Brian, what's up?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna say this. Teams know that Ryan Tannehill is not gonna get it done with his arm, so they're gonna load the box for Derrick Henry. Like Derrick Henry is so explosive and fast when he's in the open field. Like that's our explosive threat, a consistent explosive threat because like teams know Ryan can't get it done with his arm. So, and I'm gonna say this too. Like imagine Derrick Henry playing for a team that is a pass first team like the Rams. Like him with 30 carries with the Titans, he would get more production with the Rams on 15 carries because their team is a pass first offense, and it'll be reversed. Like the passing game would open up the run game, so Derek wouldn't need many touches with a good quarterback like a Joe Burrow or Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen or just a quarterback that can get it done because you would have to respect his ability to get it done in the passing game. Teams ain't respecting Ryan Tannehill. So, of course, we're going to load the box for Derek. They're going to feed him the ball. We're going to beat him up. So Derek would be way better than what he is now if we really had a threat at quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Well, he ain't wrong. It's the idea that you can sit on, certain plays with Ryan, and also it's the creativity a little bit too of what the plays are coming out of the playbook too. Because again, like I said, that first play of the game is what we're always going to go back to because it was the most recent significant one. I feel like Cincinnati's defense set on routes because they knew it wasn't going to either be over the top or if it wasn't the crossing routes where AJ was running across the middle or somebody was running across the middle, a long drag route, then there wasn't much of a threat. Everything was in front of you. Because that was the thing, too, and I forget who brought it up as far as the protection of this offensive line. The amount of sacks they gave up told you you're not allowed a long time to actually hold the ball. So if it's not immediately coming out deep or Ryan's not rolling out to throw down the field, you're either going to get to him or you're either going to have a short route in which you can just break on. Those are the things, right? And nobody's saying that you can't win. You cannot win without Derek. That's not the case. This is saying it's the idea that, look, will you start an offense with him and how do you feel about what he's going to do moving forward as far as his role in this offense in 2022?
And does it feel like it is harder? You are going up a steeper mountain. There's more that you've got to climb because of the way the offense is structured. I think that's the other way to look at it. Bo, we're going to lead off with your call after the headlines. And we got Andrew, Frying Pan, Don in Clarksville. If you're on hold, you stay there. Got to pay the bills. We'll be right back with the fourth hour of the show and a ton more of your phone calls, plus Teresa Walker, the Associated Press, in 25 minutes. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
9:02, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Yes, the two teams in the Super Bowl 56, that is, the Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams. The Bengals got there, winning the AFC Championship, defeating the Chiefs 27-24 in overtime in Kansas City. Bengals rallied from a 21-3 deficit to get the win. Evan McPherson's 31-yard field goal in the extra session sealed Cincinnati's third Super Bowl appearance in franchise history.
Now the Bengals Super Bowl chances rest on his right foot. The kick is up. It is good. Coffin nails.
Bam, bam, bam. That is unbelievable.
The LA Rams won the NFC title with a 20-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams came back from a 10-point deficit to get the victory. They sealed the win with a late interception of Jimmy Garoppolo. Rams, first team in NFL history to host a conference title game and then go and host and play in the Super Bowl again. You can listen to Super Bowl 56 right here on The Zone. The Las Vegas Raiders have hired Patriots Director of Player Personnel Dave Ziegler as their general manager. They're expected to hire New England offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels as their new head coach. That's according to ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Fourth hour, hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio is upon you, upon us. We're blessed to bring it to you courtesy of All Four Seasons Garage Stores right here in the Music City. All4seasonsgarages.com, where we want you to go to learn more. Tell them you want that JMart LiftMaster. I'm going to tell you every single time until you do it. If you get something else, you've made a mistake. Just the one that they put in here, that's the one that you want put in your house with the LED light, with the app, with all of that stuff. Time to step up your game. 615-737-1045. Joined by 11-year NFL veteran ball for life, Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Teresa Walker, Associated Press, will stop by in the next segment. Bengals, Rams, Super Bowl 56, a game you will hear right here on 104.5 The Zone. But here's the unfortunate thing. It's not going to be Mike Keith calling the game as it might have been. But the Bengals, the team that knocked you out of the playoffs, then knocked Patrick Mahomes out of the playoffs yesterday, both on the road, super impressive. Joe Burrow, the first number one pick to make the Super Bowl in one of his first two seasons in the league, just doing things that you shouldn't be able to do. That's why I call the Bengals the dumbest team I've ever seen, because they're so stupid.
Don't know
that they have no idea what they're actually doing. It's unbelievable. Let's get to the phone since we got Teresa coming up on the other side, as promised. Let's go to Bo in the Borough. The topic we've been talking about, is it harder to win with Derrick Henry than it might be with other running backs because of how much you have to commit to him with your offensive philosophy? And if you were starting a team, would you want Derrick Henry as your running back, or would you want somebody else for maybe those reasons? Let's go to Bo. Bo, what's up?
What's up, Bo?
Hey, guys. So I think it's kind of a strange question, just because you want the best players you can get at every position, obviously. But what it comes down to is, if you have a guy like Derrick Henry that you're building your offense around, you have to tailor the offense around him, obviously. But think about it like this. If you're talking about playing with him versus anybody else, Aaron Rodgers is this generation's best. Tom Brady was last generation's best. Mahomes is an up-and-comer to be possibly the greatest. So, I mean, all those dudes are sitting at home. So you could say, can you win with those guys just as easily? It's about having the right pieces and putting the right pieces around them to make them successful. That's the big thing. Like, it can be anybody at any position. You need a playmaker and pieces around them. That's kind of the formula I see.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew.
It's also the rhythm of it too, capitalizing and situational football, which is what Cincinnati did a real good job of. I remember we saw a front row here in Nashville. We saw it when they played against the Raiders. We saw it against Kansas City. Again, the same thing goes for the Rams. Situational football, they did the exact same thing, but it was also an offense led by the pass that was complemented by the run game with both of those teams. You know, like that's what we witnessed this entire playoff run, was those things.
The running game was a supplement, but it wasn't necessarily the feature of anything that we saw. And to Andrew's point, you need more than one guy, though. Like, it can't just be one guy and you surround him with people. It's got to be more than one guy. Even with the great quarterbacks, it's not one guy. Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs. He's got Knox. He's got Emmanuel Sanders. He's got McKenzie. Mahomes, obviously, we could talk about his fleet of weapons. Garoppolo, who's not a great quarterback, has Kittle, and he's got Deebo Samuel, and he's got Brandon Ayuk, and he's got Jawan Jennings. He's got all these guys. It is not just one guy. And if you're building around a running back, and you even said it in the call, you have to devote a lot to him and all this other kind of stuff. You want the best player you could have at the position. The question is, if you're not devoting 65% of your offense to Derrick Henry, or if you're not devoting 30 carries a game to him, or 25 to 30 carries, if you want to get that done in 17 to 20, is that the guy that you would necessarily want for that role? Or would you completely change your philosophies? Let's go to Frying Pan. He's up next. Frying Pan, congratulations.
What up, Fry?
Hey man, thanks for that, buddy. I'm on I-70 driving back from Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
And hey, I'll just tell you, I was at the Raiders game. I took my 10-year-old son to see that, his first NFL game. Bengals win the playoff game. I didn't go to the Titans game. We had a big watch party with my parents and whatnot. I've been to probably 50 Titans games, and then I dropped some money. I have a good friend from. That I grew up with, that I played football with and stuff, and he lives up here in Kansas City, right outside of Kansas City. He's a season ticket holder for the Chiefs, him and his girlfriend Tina, and he told me, he said, after the Bengals beat the Titans, he said, if we beat the Bills, do you want to come up? I said, dude, what do you think? And so he got me a ticket, and I didn't pay crazy amount of money like everybody else did, so I got lucky in that regard.
Nice.
But I'm just going to tell you right now, dude, I sat there in the stands. I'm 40 years old, and it was emotional. I mean, after all the failures for the Bengals, and I'm lifelong, man, living in Middle Tennessee, born in Nashville, lifelong Bengals fan, all the failures, and somehow or another, the Cincinnati Bengals, I kept telling Chiefs fans around me, at the end of the first half, I said, you better kick this field goal. I said, because Cincinnati is a second-half team. And they have 5 seconds on the clock. Mahomes throws the ball to Tyreek Hill. And the one thing the Bengals defense does is they tackle. They get you to the ground.
Yep.
They do not let you juke them out and get loose. They're not dominant, but they tackle. They know how to wrap up and put you to the ground. And so when they got to stop there and we went into the half, down 11, I said, that's momentum, baby. I said, it's a real thing. And so second half we come out, we shut down their offense. How many times did the Chiefs get shut down in the second half? I mean, 5 or 6 straight possessions.
In a row, yeah.
Yeah. So, but hey, man, I sat there. Like I said, I sat there in the stands, and man, I was overcome with emotion. I was like, let's go win the daggum Super Bowl, Bengals. It's time. I'll be honest with you, I kind of wanted the 49ers because I was thinking to myself, third time's a charm. But I was going to tell you, man, it was a great feeling for the Bengals. Losing C.J. Uzomah definitely hurts. He's our leader on offense, but Joey Burrow is a Tier 1 quarterback. And, hey, I appreciate y'all taking my call, guys. Y'all have a beautiful day.
You too.
And congrats, man. Live it up. So hearing that, Titans fans, how badly do you want that feeling? That's the overall question. I know the answer, and I'm not trying to pour salt in the wounds, but just that, being able to celebrate like that. Think about that. Let's go to Don in Clarksville up next. Don, what's
up, Don?
Well, guys, I'm going to go and go on the back of Blaine Bishop. It takes at least 2 games, actual games, for the offense to get coordinated with each player's characteristics and tendencies. So to put Henry into this first game in the playoffs, I think was not necessarily the smartest thing to do. So what I want to see from the Titans is an offense that is balanced enough where they can call any play in any game situation, because the objective is to keep the defense off guard so they don't know what to set up for.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep, obviously, we're going to keep Derrick Henry. There's never been, I haven't seen, in my 76 years, I haven't seen as good a running back as Derrick Henry is, as versatile as he is, since, I don't know, I can put him in the class of Jim Brown but anyways, you have him when he was gone for as long as he was this season. Foreman was incredible. So you keep 2 running backs, you have 2 wide receivers, and you have a tight end. If you put 2 running backs, both of them in the backfield at the same time, the defense doesn't have an idea what's going on. You got both your wide receivers, and one of them, I don't know how many times I saw AJ cross the field, but I do remember seeing Julio Jones go down the side and cut in to go across the middle. But what you have to do is have an offense and an offensive coordinator who understands I need to be able to call any play in any game situation. And the defense, won't know what we're doing.
Thanks, Dan.
Defensively, you got a heck of a team. I mean, you don't need to do that much. So if they do that, I think you really don't need – Ryan Tannehill can run that kind of an offense.
Appreciate it, Don. Thank you, man. Definitely a lot there to chew on. Let's go to Steven Dixon next. Steve, what's up?
Hey, man.
Morning.
Hey.
Morning. I've been listening to a lot of stuff all morning, and I hear a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people down in Tannehill. But if you go look at both of the games that the Bengals played with the Titans and with the 49ers, Mahomes made the same mistake that Tannehill did, and that was trying to force a pass into coverage. But you ask all these people that are calling, they're not downing Mahomes, but they are Tannehill. I don't get it.
Okay, Steve. We downed Mahomes earlier in the show. The key to beating Mahomes is making him think he can make some crazy play, because I think that's how he's wired.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's wired to try to make the spectacular play instead of the simple one. That's why I read that piece, the part that Kurt Warner had told Ty Dunn at Go on TD, that the reason Burrow is the guy that he loves the most, and he said this, as he was coming into the league, is that Burrow is the guy that's going to take the layup every time, and if he has to, but he's consistently going to put the ball where it has to be, because he sees all 22 guys on the field, knows where they are, and understands the progressions. Mahomes is a dude that will every once in a while revert to hero ball. It's like watching James Harden every once in a while, and that's not what you want. That's not what you need. You need a guy that plays within the flow. And sometimes when he gets off script, it can be magic, and sometimes it can be tragic. And yesterday for the Kansas City Chiefs, it was indeed tragic. We got Teresa Walker, the Associated Press. That's the opposite of tragic. We'll talk to her on the other side. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way we did them, because somebody told you that's the way you've always done it. That's what happens when you sell your home. You list it and you got to keep it show ready, because you never know when somebody want to come by for a quick look. Or you have dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying. And this goes on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all ended now. And it's Ramon Foster. And I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com and put in my address and home info. And I got an offer back in no time. It was no listings, no strangers, and no stress. Open Door gives you a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is the new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. And you'll know exactly what you're getting, and you can decide when you want to close. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., license 02061130 in California, and Open Door Brokerage, LLC in his other markets.
Quarterback JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. We're powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. The topic today certainly has been, well, it's been interesting. I didn't know what kind of response we were going to get to it, but it was just the idea that watching what we have seen in the playoffs, how much of the offense has to be devoted to the run game, the way that it's structured in Tennessee, especially around Derrick Henry. Does it make it harder to win having him as your running back as opposed to somebody who, I don't need you to get me 2,000. I just need you to get me this first down.
Yeah.
I need you to be able to get me to keep me on the field on 3rd down and 5. I need somebody that can keep the defense honest, but I actually want to take deep shots down the field. I want to hit crossers. I want to hit all of these kinds of things. And I feel like the response has been pretty balanced. You're seeing what we got. I mean, Matthew Stafford is an upgrade from Goff. We'll see if Stafford's able to cash in where Goff wasn't when he faced off with Brady and Belichick in the Super Bowl years ago. And then you got Burrow. What can you say? As much as they've built around Burrow, they still don't have a great offensive line. They still don't have a bunch of defensive superstar players and things like this. They haven't spent a ton of money in free agency compared to a lot of other teams. They got a quarterback that's on a rookie contract, which enables them to do some of that. They got a first-year wide receiver, Moan. They got a lot of these things. But it's all about Burrow. Like Burrow bringing everybody along for this ride because he's used to winning and he just walks around with an air of confidence. Quarterback-driven teams give you a lot of ways to win.
Yeah, they do. And that's what we're starting to see. And like I said, too, like, of course, it's either Joe Burrow is generational, which I think he is, like Patrick Mahomes, or the process in which you surround him with the right pieces and the right coach, right coordinator, right environment is what's necessary. I don't know which one it is at this point, though, too, because, like you said, they're so young. They got a lot of talent, and if I ask anybody who's the leader, veteran of that team, not many can actually say who's the guy, from the outside looking in. I want to say Joe, but heck, what's the difference between Joe and Baker and Lamar or, all the other young guys in the league too? Like, what's the actual difference in their process to where they are right now this soon? Jay?
Again, like I said, I could read that Kurt Warner piece every day right now because of what he said about Burrow, because it stacks up. Burrow's going to take the layup. He's going to get on base. He doesn't necessarily have to hit the grand slam every single time, but maybe once or twice a game, he's good for that pass if he needs to be. And that's one of the reasons he's playing and Mahomes isn't. We do go to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Our friend Teresa Walker, the queen from the Associated Press, on the line. Teresa, how are you?
I am good, and I can't help but say, are we forgetting that Derrick Henry ran this team literally to the AFC Championship game 2 years ago? Just the toll, kind of like with the 49ers yesterday, playing 4 straight road games takes a toll on a team, and they ended up coming short. And Titans, all the injuries, the banged up D, those things kind of came to play. Does it help to have a really, really talented, potentially superstar quarterback like Joe Burrow? Sure. You know how tough it is to find those guys?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, obviously. And a lot of teams are going to have heartbreak, Teresa. But you tell us, because the question that and the topic everybody has not stopped talking about on our airwaves since last Saturday, really, is Ryan Tannehill. So if you want to accept that premise about Derrick Henry, is Ryan Tannehill the guy? Like, he's going to be the guy this coming season. We all believe that. But is he the guy? And you know what I mean when I say the guy.
Absolutely. And I'll just say this, for a guy who, 13 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime since he took over as the Titans starter, that was the most in the NFL. So, we've seen him able to help this team, take this team to a win by leading them literally down the field to points that matter. So I think that's an indicator that, yeah, you absolutely can win with Ryan Tannehill. The problem is, and the recency is, everybody saw him unable to do that with the ball in his hands and then turning it over, when if you just hold on to it for 20 more seconds, you're in overtime at the worst. and depending on a coin flip. So it's painful, but at this point, yeah, because what's your option? And for all the people saying, go get Aaron Rodgers, look what the Rams did in getting Matthew Stafford. Well, it's not that easy. Do you want this team to suddenly become like Bill O'Brien, trading away first-round picks? The tab for the Rams will come due for all the moves that they made this year, getting Odell Beckham, getting Von Miller, trading for Matthew Stafford. I mean, that win yesterday exactly a year ago that they made that move. So, it's one of those things. You might be able to win now. Are you going to put up with the fact that maybe it costs you 10 years of competitiveness because you mortgaged your future?
And so that's the next question I have for you as far as competitiveness. It seems, this team is one, maybe two tools away offensively from being there. As good, as bad as the defense was in 2020, they kind of fixed it very fast. And I'm guessing the hope is that the offense can do that. So if you were to pinpoint a position or a philosophy that has to change for this team offensively, Teresa, because you've seen some of the greats around here. What's the moves that you make for this offense moving forward?
Well, I think it's twofold. I think that, yes, Todd Downing, I mean, it looks like Mike Vrabel's keeping him. He gave him a big endorsement last week saying he was a great coach, hard worker, communicates well. So they need to spend some time this offseason looking at first quarters. The scripting that goes on for the first 10, 15 plays did not work this year. They were 19th in points scored in the first quarter. And when you've got a defense that has improved, you do want to get up. You want points. You want to get on top of people and take them out as quickly as you can. So that's something that has to be fixed. On the personnel side, tight end is near the top, if not the top thing on my shopping list if I'm the Titans, because they never adequately replaced Jonnu Smith last year. They leaned on Anthony Ferguson, and, sometimes when you take and bet and hope and gamble that a player is going to take a leap in the next year with more playing time, more responsibility, sometimes that doesn't happen. And we, yes, Anthony Ferguson dealt with injuries during the year, but we just never saw him seize that moment, right? Yes, he scored some touchdowns late, but no, he was never that threat in the red zone that they desperately needed to replace. So tight end, depth on offensive line, wide receiver, those are my areas of shopping that I'm looking at early and often this offseason, and try to help the offense that way. Because guess what? What have we seen in these playoffs? You got to have multiple options, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Joe Burrow's got Jamar Chase. He's got T. Higgins. Until yesterday, he had C.J. Azuma. I mean, and then, there's also Tyler Boyd. I mean, you've got to have lots of options to, these day and age in the NFL to be able to spread the ball out as a quarterback. And guess what? Then you do need a quarterback who can find them.
Mm-hmm. So as far as
go ahead.
I was going to say, so as far as Cincinnati goes, as what they've done so far, does it kind of put you at ease as a Titans fan to be like, what? It was them that got us in there in the Super Bowl, but did it also kind of tick you off a little bit to be like, you had them in the palm of your hand and couldn't close it?
Well, I'll say this, gauging by the Titans fans I live with, my husband and son, I'm going to say ticked off because, they were pretty much, we should have been playing today. We should have been playing. We should have been down at Nissan Stadium watching the Titans play the Chiefs, and we should be the team that's going on to the Super Bowl. So I think this is going to, I think for the next 2 weeks, easily, Tennessee Titan fans are just going to be, it's going to be like that itch you cannot scratch that's driving you nuts because you woulda, shoulda, coulda, and it's going to hurt, I think, because here's a stat I saw last night. This is the first time since seeding began in the NFL for the Super Bowl, since 1975, that neither the 1 or the 2 seed made it to the Super Bowl. So, the fact that it's just one of those years when you happen to be a 1 seed, I don't think that's going to be consolation to anybody.
Yeah.
No, it's not. When you're the 1 seed, I think the fans get a certain degree of expectation. Speaking of expectation, what was more disappointing, do you think? The performance this season of Julio or the performance this season of Anthony Ferguson relative to the expectations for those two players?
Well, I know that everybody was expecting Julio to come in and be Julio, the guy who took the Falcons within, well, a couple of bad play calls away from a Super Bowl with Atlanta. But, he is a 32-year-old receiver who dealt with hamstring issues last year. So I know there's a bunch of people think he's just a bust. He's just what he is. So guess what? He'll have a chance this year to see if a whole off-season program can get him on this, build his chemistry with Tannehill the way he has it with A.J. Brown. And then, he's going to be 33, so you're going to get what you can. I'm sure there's a ton of people calling that a bust. Ferkser, there was a lot of expectations for him. Maybe not externally, but certainly internally, apparently. And, that just never happened. So, the name, the 7 Pro Bowls, the resume, the fact that you traded for him probably, makes Julio Jones higher on that list. But for what they truly needed, Ferkser is right there neck and neck with him.
Yeah. So, and that's another point, too, as far as building this team back is, the idea that Julio will be here. And I think, honestly, he's kind of forced their hand to make sure he is here next year. And with that, you have no second-round pick because of him. What do you need from him offensively next year? I think we've all come to the understanding that, AJ has to be the guy and is the guy and will be the guy. But you got to have another weapon. And Julio, I'm sorry, he can't do this because you gave a second-round pick, but he gave you production of an undrafted guy like myself,
Hey, Mon, I think that you would like to see Julio Jones this next year because his contract's pretty good, right? He's like $11.5 million. So he is a, strange to say it, a cost-effective kind of wide receiver for you with his resume. Play majority of the games, play 12 to 16 games this next season. He should be able to be close to a 1,000-yard receiver if he's playing for, that many games and be that number 2 threat who, his hands are there. He as long as, a whole off season with Tannehill, keep him as healthy as possible. And that's the thing with the hamstring, it's a hamstring. Those are like thoroughbreds, horses. You got to be really careful with them. But, if you can get him past that, that's the kind of thing you should be able to expect from him this season for sure. A 1,000-yard season out of a guy like that in a 17-game season, sure.
Yeah.
How different is this team going to look, in your opinion, next year, Teresa, in terms of guys that we maybe have gotten used to seeing in a Titans uniform that we might not see going forward?
Based on what John Robinson did last year to clear cap space and to make the moves that he did last year, I got to say that, we could see some differences. Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold, as much as you might like them, Taylor Lewan, he's dealt with injuries now these last 2-3 seasons. So, can you restructure that deal so that he and Saffold are cap friendly, or is it just easier? We're going to get younger at that spot. Dylan Rader showed us enough in that one start. We're gonna make some serious changes. We're gonna have to wait and see what choices John Robinson makes. But with a few moves, Kendall Lamb, you can create the cap space that you need to make some of these moves that you need. The problem is, the decision on Harold Landry is going to be key because, do you try to keep him because that's going to be an expensive contract, and who are you sacrificing to make that happen? Or do you think you can try to replace him in the draft and lean on what you have on the rest of that line? So, John Robinson and the Titans do have some very, tough decisions this offseason on whether to, try to keep it together as much as possible and tweak around the edges and give it one more go. That's the decision they're going to have to make. But, we're going to know within the next month, the free agency starts in the middle of March. So we will know within the next 6 weeks which way they're going.
So
Landry, you mentioned Landry real quick. That's it. That's going to be really interesting. And we've kind of talked about it quite a bit on this show. How likely do you think it is that they're going to pay Landry or franchise tag him to find a way to keep him here?
I tell you, that franchise tag would be a very easy thing to do, especially if you can keep the lines of communication open. We saw him use it 2 years ago with Derrick Henry and managed to get a deal done, just under the deadline to do an extension. So if that buys you time to see what your cap situation is like, before the deadline in July, go for it. Here's the thing. they've spent the last few years looking for pass rush, right? And he came through and has been their most productive, sacker in his career here. 31 sacks over these 4 seasons. I mean, this year he definitely made the move up to what you want. And he's been available, guys. He started. Clowney comes in. Who's been the strong guy who's in that lineup that, game in, game out? It's been Harold Landry. So, you've got availability and production. It's tough to, you can find guys to sack guys. It's a little tougher than it seems at times, of course, but certainly for this team. But you've got a guy, letting him go just because of a price tag, that could be a very costly move. But, that's the thing. There's going to have to be some decisions made.
Yeah. With those decisions that's being made, Vrabel has a knack, it seems, for hiring guys that absolutely do well in coordinator positions. Well, I'd say, he's had coaches on him. He's got a tree now. If Shane Bowen continues on with what he's done with this offense, will Vrabel have to find another DC? Because there's going to be teams that potentially want to come get him also.
Well, yeah, but, here's the thing. I think Shane Bowen's going to need another year of track record with that, right?
Okay.
Think about it. I mean, look at how many – there's 9 openings at the moment right now in the NFL, and, there's so many names being interviewed and bandied about. It is tough to get one of those jobs. And, for Shane Bowen a year ago, his, that defense wasn't good. So, he's going to need at least another year. Here's the thing where he gets tagged working for a defensive coach is, how many people are wondering how much of that is Vrabel, how much of that is Bowen. So, in a way that kind of helps maybe the Titans hold on to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other guy, Todd Downing, is he a problem? Is he a problem from your perspective in terms of the offense that he called this year, or do you think that some of that critique is unfair?
Well, when you look at the numbers through the first 8 games when they had Derrick Henry, and neither Julio Jones nor A.J. Brown had gone on the IR yet, the offensive production was not bad, guys. They were up there in the top 5 in points scored and things like that. And then the injuries started revolving through the offense, and the offense probably was hit almost as hard, if not harder than the defense. Here's the key. Vrabel certainly knows what he's looking at when he watches tape and breaks down stuff. How much of that was just not having the players and having that continuity? And then, this is going to be a chance for Todd Downing to have a second season. He didn't get that in Oakland. He was OC there 1 year and then got fired along with the rest of the Jack Del Rio staff. So if he can go in and make some changes, tweaks, I mean, if you're a smart coach, you should be able to look at what happened and break it down in an off season and adapt. So, can he fix it in a year? Sometimes having the players available makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, definitely. One last one before we got to let you go. As far as the offensive line, major change this next year because some decisions have to be made with this group moving forward.
Moan, it feels like there may be, and it's going to come down to, will Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold, do they want to restructure? Can they restructure it enough to, and restructure doesn't mean necessarily take less money. Dennis Kelly, a year ago didn't want to take a pay cut, and they released him. Well, can you restructure these 2 guys who've been solid starters for you since, being drafted or being signed as a free agent? Can you restructure those deals enough to make it palatable and workable under the cap? If not, then that's going to be the challenge, because if guys don't want to, or if you can't find a way to make the numbers work, that's when a decision has to be made. So, Taylor Lewan will be further removed from the ACL that ended his 2020 season.
Right.
Roger Saffold was dealing with a shoulder issue that he said he wants to get fixed this offseason. And if surgery fixes that, then you've got your 2 guys. They're older, but they're also 2 pretty good ones when they're available and on the field. So, that's the and I'm really glad I don't have to make this decision. It's going to be John Robinson.
Yeah.
One more for you, Teresa, on the way out. Non-football question here, but is the NBA MVP playing in Memphis?
Oh.
At this point, I'm going to say yes. I mean, guys, if they win tonight in Philadelphia, then they will tie the franchise record for most wins in a calendar month. They are 3rd. They have the 3rd best record in the NBA. And the team that they're behind, well, Golden State, and we know all about their titles and their talent and Steph and Clay, Splash Brothers, you name it. And then Phoenix Suns, oh yeah, the team that I think they've reeled off now 10 straight wins, and they were in the NBA Finals last year. So, guys, those guys are fun. If he's not the MVP, well, he certainly is an all-star starter, and he is putting together a resume. He is a legitimate candidate for MVP. And I'm expecting to spend a lot of time this spring in Memphis.
Yeah, and it's actually going to be fun for those that hate Memphis. It's going to be fun to be in Memphis for sports reasons. Teresa, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Had to take the shot at Memphis for the sake of Nashville. Now that I know Nashville versus Memphis is a thing.
It's a real thing.
It's definitely a thing. Yeah, Jaw's doing special stuff. It's kind of flying under the radar because football soaks so much of the attention up, but he's doing really special things. You get the chance to watch that team play, you should absolutely be watching him. So 615-737-1045. We can get another couple calls in potentially by the end of the program. We'll come back and reset a little bit of what Teresa just chatted with us about and let you know what's coming up on tomorrow's program. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
The moment we've been waiting for since September is finally here. In honor of the big game, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. You bet $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. And if you're not a new customer, you can experience Super Bowl 56 with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. And DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want to. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code WGFX and get 56-1 odds on either team. You bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. And that's promo code WGFX at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. And you must be 21 years and older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Finishing up the hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio, JMart and Ramon. Appreciate everybody that called in today for their thoughts, as well as for Rocky Boiman up in Cincinnati and Teresa Walker from the Associated Press. I was looking at this during the break. Matthew Stafford, just looking at the stats. Matthew Stafford completed more passes than Jimmy Garoppolo attempted yesterday. 31 completions for Stafford. Garoppolo only threw 30 passes, and he was 16 of 30, including the interception. The passer rating wasn't terrible. He honestly didn't play that badly yesterday. Garoppolo didn't, except when they needed him most, and that's when he overthrew Kittle, and then when he had the whatever that moment was down close to the goal line where he threw the interception off the Aaron Donald pressure where it ended. But Stafford was 31 of 45 for 337, 2 more touchdowns, and 96.3 passer rating. He had Kupp go for 142. He had Beckham go for 113. His tight end went for 57. Kupp and Beckham, 20 receptions between the two of them on 25 targets.
Wow.
Kupp, but Beckham was 9 of 11 and Kupp was 11-14.
So honestly, looking at Jimmy's efficiency yesterday or his attempts yesterday, I think that goes to show you that he's a game manager. You know, like that stat line right there goes to show he's a game manager, and everything, more things had to be right in order for them to win. He had to make better decisions. He had to be in the right place. Their offense couldn't get behind the chains. Like, those are all the things that you need when you have a game manager. You can't get behind the chains. You can't have sacks. You can't have turnovers, and you got to have your guys be able to catch the ball and bring it in. That's what game managers have to have or don't need whenever you're a game manager type quarterback. So the off season for the 49ers is going to be, okay, is Trey our guy? And he has to be because they went so high. At least for a year or two to see what he's going to do. Like, does Shanahan trust Trey Lance to actually carry this offense the same way that Andy Reid trusted Patrick Mahomes? That's what they're looking for in that situation.
Hey, man, Tom Brady's from California. Maybe he comes back for a year and plays in San Francisco, the team that he always wanted to play for, because Joe Montana was his favorite player. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, okay. He going to mess around. He going to lose his family, Jay, if he takes another football job, yeah. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, look, he's played 22 years.
Yeah.
So he certainly had it. We got Ron Slay on the show tomorrow, of course. Mm-hmm. Tennessee found a way not to beat Texas on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, I sat there with him.
Close.
He was frustrated.
I'm sure he was. Also, Ryan Clark, RC from ESPN, will join us on the program tomorrow. Never minces words, always has interesting things to say. So we're going to get him to dissect the Titans as well as talk about the Super Bowl matchup and Joe Burrow, the quarterback from his alma mater that's in the Super Bowl. And we're going to continue the fallout.
And his Taylor Lewan conversation.
Yeah.
He asked some hard questions, Jay. So we'll get all of that.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a really, really good day to have him on. A good time. It always is. And, of course, we're just going to keep on reacting and keep on letting you guys react, because for over a week now, it's just been you guys with all of your thoughts. And all we have to do is really moderate the discussion and try to keep it on the rails.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some Bengals fans out there that are feeling it. So continue to feel it. For Danny and Frying Pan and everybody, congratulations. Live it up. Again, you never know if you ever get back. I think you probably will with the team that you have, but the AFC is going to be a dogfight for years with the quarterback play and with the talent across this league. We'll, of course, have plenty of time to break down Bengals Rams. Most of that will come next week. This week, we'll look at the NFL season, we'll look at the offseason. Again, Ryan Clark and Ron Slay tomorrow. For Ramon and Shafe, I'm JMart. We'll do it all again tomorrow.
And remember, your Twitter fingers and your mic are always hot.